Hey everyone, I am Nessa.
And I'm T.
And together we are the Casual Fangirls. We are back with our special guests, Al and Steele. And we are here to discuss the Batman. So literally just the Batman. That's what it's called. Yes, the background music. I love it. This is DC's latest attempt of telling or retelling, honestly. Well, reimagining the infamous story of the Caped Crusader, the Batman. Before we get into it, let's give the audience a spoiler warning. T, take it off.
So, as you know, we are about to talk about The Batman, the movie, and this is a reaction podcast. If you have not seen it, not sure why you're here. You can stay if you want. It's just going to be spoiled. So go watch it and come back, or sit back and relax and listen to us talk all things The Batman. We're probably going to speak about more than just the movie. We're probably going to bring in callbacks from everything within the Batman IP, maybe even some DC stuff. So if you do not want any of that stuff spoiled, I've warned you. And this is now your choice. Let's get into choose wisely. Let's get into the recap.
All right. So this was a very long movie, 3 hours. So I really tried to condense this recap. So here we go. We open up in Gotham on Halloween night, and the city is running rampant with criminals. The Pat signal hits the sky, and these criminals are suddenly stricken with fear. Batman appears out of the shadows, ready to defend the city. A new villain emerges by the name of the Riddler, who is determined to not only expose corruption throughout the city, but to eradicate it. The Riddler targets notable citizens of Gotham, such as the mayor and the DA. Batman joins up with Lieutenant James Gordon in order to solve these mysteries and put an end to the Riddler's killing spree. Along the way, we are introduced to the mob boss, Carmine Falcone, and his right-hand man, the Penguin. As we get a look into their organization, we meet Selina Kyle, aka Catwoman. She's on a mission to protect her friend Annika, who is on the mob's bad side, which leads to her teaming up with the Batman. The further Batman digs into the case, the more he unearths family secrets long buried. The Riddler is eventually captured, but has already set a plan in motion to bomb the city in order to flood it. The citizens of Gotham flee to Gotham Square Garden, where they are met with the Riddler's followers, who begin a mass shootout. Batman and Selina work together to take them down and rescue everyone. In the end, Selina decides to leave town while Batman vows to save it and inspire hope. The Riddler befriends an inmate in Arkham who is none other than the Joker.
Forgot about that part.
I thought it was the Creeper, but we're going to get back to that.
Oh, interesting.
Okay.
Interesting.
We'll get to that. All right.
Yeah, I'm sorry I made a sound effect over Gotham Square Garden. For the viewers at home, we're all native New Yorkers here. Yes. And so it's just why? Why?
Barclay it's Barclay Garden. Like on the outside, it's the garden. On the inside, it's Barclay Center.
Yeah, in Brooklyn. That's so funny to me. Anyways, we'll get into that in a second. So the Batman movie, just some quick stats and facts about the movie, since it's been out for about a week or two at this point. Just some quick stats and facts. So there was a lot of talk around whether or not this movie was going to do really well or just completely flop. There are a lot of fans who didn't have a lot of faith in it, and some who had blind faith that talking about the Batman were going to bring people out. And
Al said it's going to knock it out the park.
He did. 134 million opening weekend. I mean, I don't know how much it cost to make the movie, but I feel like that's probably a pretty decent number. The Batman was directed by Matt Reeves and co-written by Matt Reeves and Peter Craig. It stars Robert Pattinson as Batman, Jeffrey Wright as Lieutenant Gordon, Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman, Paul Dano as the Riddler, with very great casting for Alfred as Andy Serkis as Alfred, and Colin Farrell as Penguin, which honestly blew my mind. And I'm sure we're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
So a little bit more background about this movie. Initially, this was meant to be a Ben Affleck starred, directed, produced, and co-written project, but he had his reservations and dropped out, and Matt Reeves stepped up and took over, and spoiler warning for my review, he blew it out the freaking park. Like, I'm so excited. I'm so glad that this all the chips fell where they did. Currently they have 2 sequels planned. So super excited about that, and 2 spinoff shows that will be hitting HBO Max. One is about Oswald Cobblepot, aka the Penguin, starring Colin Farrell. So we'll get even more of him, which is great. And it'll take a look into the Penguin's rise to the criminal underworld. I heard that I think that the setting of that show might take place right after the events of this movie. So like, you know, we'll talk about it, but there's now a gap in the organized crime. Like there's no leader. So maybe it's like the Penguin trying to take over that role. And as he's doing that, giving flashbacks to his rise to power, which would be really cool. And then there's another show that will be focusing on the happenings within Arkham. So just more dealings with the Caped Crusader, I would assume, in some capacity, since now we know that he got a little Arkham in his blood, right? We'll talk about that too. I love that.
Yeah.
But before we dig into all of that, I'm going to ask all of us to go around and just give the audience 2 to 3 words of how they would describe the movie so that we can get in the mindset of how we all felt about the movie. So let's start with you, Nessa. How did you like this movie, or how would you describe it?
So the 3 words that I picked was mystery, horror, and emo. So, because it is very like, even like the opening scene where we're kind of like in the eyes of the killer and we're watching this. Like, I did not expect that murder to be that gruesome.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, oh, wow, this feels like a horror film right now, like the way we're opening up. And then, of course, obviously, like just the mystery of them trying to track down the Riddler, who is the Riddler, and everything like that. And I put emo because Rob Pattinson he just looks like one of them emo rockers I used to listen to like in late high school, early college. Like he has the Pete Wentz haircut. He's all like, Alfred, you're not my dad. Like I was just like, all right, like go take a nap. Yeah. Like, so those are my 3 words.
Cool. What about you, Steele?
Dark, moody, depressed. Well, you said 3 words. Yeah, dark, moody, and depressed. That's what I got from it. And I liked it all of it. Yeah, I said it. Liked it. It brought its good detectiveness to it. I have my little qualms here and there points, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the 3 hours that I had to really hold my pee until the end. That was a very good. I've never did that before, but I really had to hold it just to continue watching it. And it kept me in an up and down. It was a very up and down. And I like to be, up and down roller coaster when I watch a movie, because when you get stagnant, you take your 3-4 yawns. I didn't take a yawn. I held a piss. That's it.
That's actually a good point. After I saw the movie, I texted everyone I knew that was going to see it, and I was like, you need to use the restroom like immediately before you go in, because there isn't a good time in the movie to go up. So like the movie just goes, and you need to be there for the full 2 hours and 55 minutes. So I remember testing Nessa, use the restroom before you go, bring a sweater just in case it's cold, and just like buckle up and be ready, basically.
Yeah.
So that's a good point. So my 3 words were gritty. I thought it was pretty gritty. And just like the color scheme that was used, just like the whole vengeance bit of it. There was more blood. Like I saw more like violence that I thought I was going to see. Not that it was like overwhelming, but just there was more detail in that that I was expecting. I also thought that one of my words or phrase is coming of age. This felt like a coming of age story for Batman for me, which I don't know that we've seen on the screen yet. I mean, obviously it's based in year 1 or year 2 of him being the Batman. And we've seen like Bruce Wayne's like choice or journey towards becoming the Batman, but I don't know that like we've actually seen him like reconcile or begin to reconcile Bruce Wayne with the Batman. And I think that starts like, this is the first time we've seen it in this movie. So it's a coming of age story for me. And then the last word that I have was just grief, because I felt that Bruce Wayne's reaction and how he's dealing with the grief of losing his parents, even though that happened years and years ago, is still very prevalent through this movie. So what about you, Al?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, not Al, Vengeance.
Thank you. No, you guys hit the nail on the head. A lot of my words were what Steele was gonna say, and Tamara, I hope I want to dive into that because I love that bit about like him having to reconcile Bruce and Batman. Like that was what took me over the edge with this movie. But for my words, I will say I have others. I wrote down orange because this is the first use of like we've seen like Batman in the daytime, and there was so much orange and reds. Like it was really like beautiful, like just visually. I also put down funny. There's some slight like funny lines in this movie that I was just like, oh, like just line deliveries like you have a lot of cats. Just like random.
You don't know Spanish?
Yeah, like I found myself chuckling at a few different parts there. And then the last word I put was relentless, because like both in the term of like the kind of like the dogged determination of like Batman. Like I don't think we've ever seen like that chase comes to mind, like definitely, but like can't remember the last time we've seen a Batman just so driven by like will and just like a force to be reckoned with. And I'm also relentless in the sense that like this film was crazy long. Like you gotta, you're in for a ride. And I'm sad to say, I actually kind of I fell asleep a little bit during the movie, and I loved it. But like I saw it twice, and at the same point I fell asleep. Like just for a little bit, but like.
Ooh.
Wait,
what was the point? Yeah.
It was after Bruce goes to see Falcone and learns about like Thomas Wayne. Like here's what your dad did, and then he goes to Alfred, and Alfred's in the hospital, and he's talking to him. And
wake up! Nap time's over.
It's a little of that, and part of it I think is like it's a long movie, but also I feel like they should have broken up that like to go from here's what your Thomas did. Thomas had a man killed, and Bruce doesn't even sit with that for like a minute before Alfred says, "No, that's not true. Like that's not what he did." It's just like. Why do we have those two long chunks like back to back? So that middle section made me like doze off a little bit, but
what you said was actually, it did have certain points. I've been like, okay, you could have cut it right there. You just could have cut that scene, probably drag that out. I mean, bring it over just a little bit so you can keep the flow. But no, you're right. And the only like my thing was I was like, okay, is this I know this is year one Batman's book. It's Alfred trained Batman. So I'm like, does he still have his leg or don't have his leg? That's where I was wondering. Because this is the Batman that never got trained by the League of the, Shadows and stuff. This is Batman trained by Alfred. So I was like, okay, does he have his leg or don't? I like the fact that he was really like moody, like, and like Vanessa said, that we never get the transition between him going into, we always get the sad Batman, we get like a little glimpse of it, but the rest is just like Batman and Bruce Wayne. We never get the dark Bruce Wayne, the full of despair, hurt, and stuff. Like this man did not care about bathing. I know he did not bathe. I'm sitting there watching, like, is that the same dirt he had on from when he came in? Like, did he bathe?
Yep.
This man took a shower. I know Alfred probably must have smelt him, because every time Alfred was like further away from him in every scene.
He was like, go shower. Like, go take a bath.
Yeah, he's like, we got a meeting. Take a shower, please.
Just take one bath.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. And that's a really good segue into just talking about Bruce Wayne and the Batman character and how he was portrayed. To your point, Steele, like the whole him being like grief, like in the Nolan movies, we see Batman's girlfriend die because of the Joker, right? Or the girl that he was into. And I don't even remember him like really sitting in that grief. Like it almost felt like he just hopped up after the explosions and Still looked a little confused. Like
I was trying to remember.
Rachel gets
Rachel.
Where's Rachel?
Yeah, where's Rachel? Where is she? Like you don't really see him sit in that grief. It's kind of just like, I need to find the Joker because he did this. It's like he goes straight into vengeance instead of like really sitting in the grief. And in this movie, with this portrayal of Bruce Wayne and Batman, like what I mentioned earlier, the whole grief piece of it, it feels like you're watching someone that's still dealing the grief with his parents, even though that happened years ago. And it manifests in different ways. Like I've lost a parent as a teenager, and like it takes years to really get to a point where you're like, okay, like I am back to fully functioning. I don't even know when I'm fully functioning even now, and it's 15, 16 years later. But like him not even bathing, like he feels like he's still a child. Like there's a piece of arrested development happening where his life, all his development stopped when his parents passed away. And now he's just trying to deal with like dressing up as a bat and like trying to solve crime to like try to combat those feelings, but he just hasn't dealt with everything else. So I loved that portrayal of Bruce Wayne specifically. We didn't get a lot of Bruce Wayne in this movie, but I love that those were the pieces we got.
I was happy. I didn't want to see not a suit, not a tuxedo. Every movie is always Michael Keaton, suit, tuxedo at a party. Christian Bale, suit at a party, trying to. I didn't want to see no Playboy. No, I want to see like what we watch in the animated series, like when he was down and out and Alfred is trying to comfort him. This is what I got from that Batman. Yeah. Like, wow, this man is damaged, and he did not care. Like he went around, and what I did like, even though this is like a year one, this is what made it realistic for me. Him being in the alley with half of his bat gear on, and he just pulled everything out the bag.
Yeah.
And he's out. And I'm like, this is realistic. Because we be like, the hell he got dressed so quick? This, you said 5 minutes. It looked like it'll take you 13 minutes to get the suit on.
Right.
You know, this was a lot realistic tone for me. And I actually dig that. I dig that. You saw him getting ready. You saw him jump into action. And I don't know where he put all his stuff like Peter Parker, but he got outside perfectly well.
I will say though, one thing that like, while we've gotten enough with like Bruce in the tuxedo and like Bruce, you know, Playboy, but I gotta say though, like that is part of the character of Batman. You know, like you can't have Batman without Bruce Wayne.
Right.
And I think that's what he's kind of realizing, like going at the end of it, like he has to like learn. He has to learn and be more. Like vengeance alone inspires the wrong sort of people, but like he has to kind of like become like, I think. See, I'm jumping ahead. I don't want to, but like that hopeful, like that last act, I loved it. Like I was literally in my seat, like, oh, this is it. Like where he has to learn like what kind of Batman he wants to be. That's it. That's the core of the character right there.
Because even in the books and the cartoon, Alfred always tells him like, you know, you should socialize, you should go out, and he never wanted to do that. In the books, there's a lot more deeper in the books too, because it's always him being forced to socialize, always being, because he doesn't want to. Like it's been what's book? He was in the cave for like almost 3 weeks fixing stuff that the Batcave needed fixing. And it's like, you need to be the person to go outside and socialize, get this done. Your company is out of whack. Like, I'm surprised I didn't talk about the company at all, but you know,
well, he had a meeting with like
the accountant,
the board, or
the board, and he had.
We don't even know how it went though.
Right.
Like, we don't know like what happened. What was?
But I think it was definitely a deliberate choice to make us see that he hates being Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
Like that is. He feels like so out of place and so awkward being Bruce Wayne. Like anytime that he's showing up as Bruce Wayne, it feels like his head is hanging low. Like he's not really making eye contact. But as soon as he puts on the suit, chin up, chest up, shoulders back, like, you know what I'm saying? He's walking around with some pride. So
he wants to beat people up.
No, but you're totally right. You're totally right. There's a line in there that he said, like when talking to Alfred at the beginning, like, I'm talking about going to the board or whatever, but he's like, no, this is the legacy. Like the Batman, this is their legacy. And it's like, whoa, like this is talking about Arrested Development, like he's still stuck there. And I didn't want to cut you off, but no,
you're good. Yeah. Because it's like, I think to your point, like he has to reconcile with balancing Bruce Wayne with Batman. So even though we didn't get a tuxedo scene in this movie, I think it's coming. Yeah, definitely within one of the next two sequels. We're gonna see that.
I think the part where it got him was when he visited the funeral and the was it senator, the woman who's running for mayor. And she said, you know, your family helped, and he just looked at her like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, I don't care about that. But then when he started realizing, he's like, you know what, it looked like it gave him, you could see in his face like, maybe I should start
Right.
looking into
She was
this.
basically being like, so when are you going to send some more money? These
To
kids
pop
need a
up.
basketball court. We need a new rec center
Right.
in downtown Gotham.
Yeah, I think that whole point about him, I have two quick points. One, we see that manifest in the way that he kept showing up at the club. Like we get that 3 times, right? Like the first time he shows up, he's Batman, he fights his way in, like,
you know who I am.
yeah, you know, like just a complete brute force, right? The second time he shows up, he's Bruce Wayne. And even in him showing up at the door when he says, like, do you know who I am? I'm Bruce Wayne, blah, blah, blah. He doesn't seem confident in all that, you know, like he's still like, you know, I'm here, you know, like on an emotional journey, but I'm not here with all my confidence. The third time you see him, he shows up as Bruce Wayne undercover and then turns into Batman once he gets inside. And like, that's like that's where the coming of age, like theme kind of stood out to me, that like, he's realizing over time that he needs to be able to balance both in order to really be effective. And the other thing I wanted to mention quickly, right, all the skills. The other thing I wanted to mention quickly is like, Bruce Wayne's not a playboy in this movie. Do we think that he's ever dated anyone?
No,
he's a virgin.
No.
You think he's a virgin?
Okay. He's a virgin.
Well, I can't answer that. I have no idea.
I don't know.
I have no idea. I just know he looked like he ain't bathed. That's it. I know there's not a washcloth in that house at all, period. They may be rags for dishes to dry and wash.
He barely showers. Like, who is?
He might be. This might be the first virgin Batman we've seen.
He is definitely a virgin for sure.
Shoot.
For sure. Yeah, the way he was just watching Selena, I was like, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, facts. Yeah.
You have not had much interaction
with women,
with the ladies. Yeah.
I was waiting in that scene where he follows her, and I'm like, okay, he sees that she's about to change. He's gonna stop looking. He's gonna avert it. No. He says,
and he is breathing harder and harder.
Okay.
And then was like, you look sad in your apartment. Like, excuse me? Sir, what? Like,
I'm here for it. I love it.
Same
I definitely also I love the detective aspect, like the whole detective noir thing. When the movie opened up and it was doing the voiceover, I was just like, oh, please don't let this be the whole movie. But after a while, it didn't bother me so much anymore. And I was just like, you know what? I could rock with this. This is fine. But like watching him walk through the scene and being like, oh yeah, his thumb was cut off before he died because of blah, 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 blah around his thumb. I was like, ooh, this Batman's smart. Like, you know, this Batman's smart. And it made sense to make the Riddler the type of villain that he was, you know? And so like all these actual murders are happening and like leaving these riddles behind. I wish, and I think T and I talked about this, I wish they gave a little bit more room to breathe for like the audience to try to figure out some of the riddles.
Oh,
but it was
I figured it out. I was figuring it out.
Well, forget you, whatever. Like,
I'm smart. I'm smart. I can't.
But it was smart. Like the riddle will come up and I'm just like, dead man lies still. And I was like, come on, give me a minute. But I liked watching that. I liked seeing the partnership between Gordon and Batman. I don't think we've ever gotten it to that extent before. It usually feels like they meet on a rooftop and it's like, hey, this is what's going on. And then Gordon turns around and Batman's gone. Mm-hmm. But this time it's like, we're walking through the scene together. We're making plans together. We're trying to figure this out, you know? So I enjoyed that thoroughly. I was like, oh, look at this little buddy cop comedy going on, you know?
I did like the buddy cop. I like how it is. And I like the fact is, like, I'm going to repeat it again. He's 2 years in, so we're not going to see him disappear like poof. You still going to see him walk out the door because there's no development skills developed yet.
Although he did do the disappearing act on him when he went to the where all the junkies were, and he was like,
oh yeah.
And he looked around like dude was gone.
The old orphanage, yeah. And he did do the elevator thing, like when he like was like in the dark, like at the top, and I was like, oh, that's very clicky, like.
I love that Gordon kept calling him man. Like I love the bromance that was there. Just like, Come on, man. You're right. We haven't seen that before, but I loved it. Loved every minute of it.
When he did the detective skills and he was like, he found the car and they was like looking around, he opened it, thumb drive. I was like, wow.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's like some funny stuff in there, man. This movie delivered on every front.
Yeah.
But is it just me, or did anybody notice that every Batman, they always had the light focus on Batman's, like the shadowing stuff, but this one, you always saw his eyes through the mask. I have never seen it. Looked like we was watching like how they did, the Addams Family. Every time they looked at the wife, all you see was so this one, I was like, they focus a lot on this man staring, and I'm kind of intrigued by this because every Batman movie was, well, no, Val Kilmer, they did, not Val Kilmer, Michael Keaton, they did that, but it was always a little brighter. But this one, it was like the darkness of his mask made his eyes pierce more out. And I found that very, very, very intriguing. And what you said too about the whole Riddler thing, this was a good murder mystery. Like, I felt like they wrote the script, and then after they said, okay, this is Batman, that's the Riddler, that's Gordon, that's that. Does it sound correct? Yes, this sounds like a murder. So we're going to take a lot of 7 and put it in this? Exactly. Yeah. We're going to take 7, throw it in there. We're going to take the beginning of a Quentin Tarantino film, throw it in there, and we're going to take whatever Scorsese put into his movies and put the camera angles in, boop, and we're going to make this. I was like, okay, I like this. I like the way people are meeting, people are talking, I just like that. Like, bro, you could feel the corruption in the police department in that whole movie. I'm like, wow, this looks like New York. I mean, it is. It is New York.
Yeah.
It is
or Chicago, or any other.
It was Chicago, city. Philly, and New York. I kind of got most of that from that movie.
Yeah. But definitely. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, T.
I was gonna say just more New York because of the Gotham Square Garden. That's all I was gonna say.
Yeah. I definitely also liked the scene when they do show up to the mayor's house after he's killed, and like he's walking through the police department, and you can feel them being like, yo, should we arrest this man? Like, and Gordon's like, nah, he's with me. Like,
no, wait, no, not the police. He walked through the crime scene.
But the whole police department, like the whole police department, like all the police officers were there. Like they were lined up throughout like the halls and like in the room and in the house and everything like that. And everybody was just like, so we're not going to say, nobody gonna say nothing. Y'all see him?
Y'all see him? Trying to stop him, like,
yeah. And I think
what do you think you're gonna do?
And it's funny, like the way everybody, this freak. I'm like, bro, that's the best word you could come up with, because if it was me and they were, well, who's this? Mother Flood Pucker over here.
But there's even some like character development within that, right? So like Nessa, you just mentioned the first scene with him and the police, they're just like, who's this dude? Should we be arresting him? I even think one of the people that stopped him or was in the crime scene just like watching Batman throughout the whole movie was this one officer. And then the last time you see all the officers together or whatever in the Riddler's apartment, it's more growth, right? Like Batman's there, he's like, I missed something. And then the officer says like, oh, what are you doing with that like carpet tool? And Batman's like, what did you call it? And so they like, you realize, but it's like a manifestation of like Batman, I would hope, understanding he can't do everything by himself. Like the police department can actually be an asset to him, or at least having other people around to help brainstorm these things. So he could, if he would have just, I don't know, like showed other people before that thing, maybe he would have caught all the bombs, you never know.
No,
but again, it's only 2 years, so he ain't that smart yet. I mean, the man fell through the window, and I was like, that looked like it hurt. Like when he boop, boop, I'm like, wow. And this is where I'm gonna say, like, Vanessa knows him, but I had an argument about this Batman, and it got very heated, and I got very emotionally heated because it was like he don't have any gadgets, I'm like, how is nobody hearing he is 2 years in? He's not with his company. He's not. If you remember the animated cartoon, he made his costume in a cave. He didn't start building his car or anything. And they were like, why his car didn't look like that? I said, if you ever look in the books, Batman made his first car. Now, it might not be in the 1950s, 60s, where we had like the logo on the front with the eye. He had like the whole contraption. he didn't get stuff until later when he started meeting and opening up to new people. And this is where people never understood. Like Batman was also a developing character to get to where he needs to be. Lucius Fox didn't come till years later. And he didn't get all the equipment till like after that. Like in a sense, like in the comic book generational world, it's we might see it as like 40, 50 years, but in a book form, it's only like 5 years as them being superheroes.
Right. Right. I mean, but that's a great segue to what we want to talk about next, which is like, how did you feel about the tech in this movie in general? Like the Batsuit, the gadgets, the Batmobile, like the vibe of it all.
He has some stalker tendencies. Who sticks something in their eyeball and walks around and looks at people? Like that's, I mean, I would have a lot of memory loss. Like, what you happy? Just look at our recorder from my eyeball. I can't really remember what the hell I saw. But that was actually I found that was actually a good device to use. Him building
very
certain
Black
stuff.
Mirror vibes.
Yes.
Yes. Black Mirror vibe. I was like, oh, okay. But I like that too. Go ahead, Steele.
I just like when we all saw it when he hits the fire extinguisher. I was like, well, I hope he learned how to make smoke bombs after this because he needs that completely. It was a lot of like learning going along, and I you know, this is how I saw it, but you know, these guys did not see it, and they were like, well, Batman needs this. I'm like, he's 2 years in, his outfit is homemade. Like, I didn't even know that was a freaking knife. Like, you know, his symbol. I remember it being in, I don't know if we all remember the first trailer that they showed that he was melting the gun that killed his parents to make the symbol, and all of a sudden they just chopped that whole thing out. Now, if I had a Mandela effect and nobody don't remember that, then I guess that was me. But I remember seeing that.
I remember them talking about it like that. The symbol was supposed to be the gun. And I guess maybe they didn't feel like it was maybe it's on the chopping block somewhere.
I mean, I think that makes sense because I'm so glad we didn't get the Thomas Martha death in this.
Oh, God,
we didn't need to see it. And I thought they did a really
pearls.
good, the pearls, right? We didn't get that either. But I thought they did a really good job of like reminding they didn't have to do it because the opening shot of the Riddler watching the mayor with his son and his wife, like when you're watching that, you're like, is that Bruce Wayne? Is it a flashback? And it did everything it needed to do to just remind the audience, this is where Batman is like, all of his emotion is coming from, is from that dynamic.
I just like the way the Riddler just started it off. Like he just, like the light, like it looked like anime. Like the TV was just glowing on his glasses as he stood there in the back. And I swear to God, if he started speaking Japanese, I was like, man, it's about to be a good ass anime. But I like how the light just like he just beat though. Woo!
Right off him.
Yeah.
So I will say though, going back to the suit real quick, I liked that it was like a Swiss Army knife. Like everything he needed was just the suit. Like it's got a built-in taser, it's got the built-in like knife batarang, a wingsuit, which I didn't like at all, but he had it. But like I like that he was like a rugged industrial, and it's got the little like thing. I don't know if that's venom or just adrenaline. He ended up shooting
adrenaline. It was adrenaline.
But like that's kind of cool. Like I like that everything he needed was just on this suit, like on his person. It wasn't necessarily like he had like a utility belt, but more just like a utility suit, like from head to toe, flares included. Like that was great.
What about the wingsuit did you not like? Did you just not like the construction of it? Did you not like the look of it?
See,
did it just not make sense?
The science did not make sense.
I will say no. I think it makes sense. I just don't think it's cool. Like Batman looks cool, and I feel like a cape that glides is very cool. It's impractical but cool. And turning your suit into a wingsuit and just like gliding through the city, I'm like, this is corny. Like,
but he's year 1 or 2. First of all, he's year 1 or 2, right?
I'm saying like it makes sense. I see that this is what
it just didn't look cool.
It just didn't look cool.
And that was his first time using it, obviously, because he like hesitated.
But where was it in the suit? This is where I want. Like, did he wear? Like, where was it built in the suit? I need actual scientific math problems.
Picture it. Here's what I'm picturing: like one of those inflatable rafts. Like it's just beneath the panels or whatever. He like pulls a little thing, and then it's just like
time blowing.
I'm just like. I remember seeing the trailer going like, oh, we're gonna see a wingsuit, and then when I saw it in person, I'm like, oh, that's corny, man.
That's actually really funny to me.
It was, but that fall. I felt that
Oh
fall.
yeah.
Yeah, he
Oh,
did
yeah.
That
not
was
get up.
great.
Yeah,
That
that's
was
one of those
great.
falls you go,
That was
yo,
great.
you okay? You need
Yeah.
you need some
Walk it
help?
off. Hobbling
You need
away.
some, and you don't even approach a person that falls like that. You go, you okay? You need some help, sir?
That was a rough tumble. The way he
A
hit
rough
that like
tumble.
overpass or whatever it
Mhm.
was
Yeah.
after the parachute comes out, and it was just like I was like, oh my god. That
We
was
all, yeah, because when you hear pong in any sound, you know that hurts. Like bong, pong. You just go like, yo, this man he dead.
He had a whole concussion.
definitely.
A whole
Definitely.
concussion. And he kept
I must
moving.
say he did. I must say so like early in the movie when he steps out of the shadow and starts beating up like that clown crew or whatever. When he first steps out, I was like, dang, that suit looks clunky. I was like, it looks heavy. It looks heavy. I don't know how I feel about this. But then when he actually started fighting, and then like they started shooting and like the bullets was bouncing off, and I was like, okay, it's armored up. I was like, it makes sense. I get it. And to see it in movement looked cooler than like him just kind of walking up. I was like, bro, like they can hear you coming a mile away. Like,
and that's what I liked about it. It made people scared to like go into the dark corners. Like this, like we watch every Batman movie, but you never see somebody scared of the shadow. They always look up, not down. And I noticed that. Val Kilmer's Batman looks straight ahead. Look up. Nobody looks around the corner. Shadow, like Batman uses the shadows. That's what I liked about it. Like not the skyline, not coming down off. No, he uses the shot, and he came up right behind you. He made his intimidation was really working. Like I was like, I'm scared.
That's a good point.
That was very effective. You're right. Like seeing those guys like just like really hesitating no matter where they were in the city. Like he says, I can't be everywhere at once. And they're just all looking in these corners like, yo, is someone there? Is he there? Like, jump to stuff and leave. Like that's really effective storytelling in a short amount of time.
Yeah, the dude got hit by a car because he thought Batman might be.
Yeah.
Or the spray can. When the spray can fell, the guy was like, I'll get you another one. I'm like, damn.
I ain't getting to that one.
Also, one nitpick. No, go ahead, Al. Go ahead. You're our guest. Go
ahead. Oh, thank you. I was just going back to the suit. I love that they gave Batman a cowl. Like I like the little collars there for the because it's like Batman, you know, like can't in the first Batman Begins, he can't turn his neck, you know, it's just like one form-piece cowl. Same for like the Keaton and all those guys. And then Bale got the little neck piece that can turn, and it's better, but it looks a little bit silly. But like you pop a collar on there, and suddenly you can just do whatever, and you just look cool. Like there was Batman
protect your neck.
Yeah, protect your neck. Like it just looks cool, like, and it just allows for much more like dynamic movement. But well, to your point.
And
one nitpick that I had was the cape, y'all. Like when I come out, all I could think was Incredibles, no capes. No capes. Because I'm like, and that's why I love that, like, at the end of the movie, like the gunmen are dragging him by his cape. I was like, thank you. Because I'm telling you, if you are fighting the slum of Gotham, they gotta be gritty fighters. Like somebody's grabbing that cape. Like, you know, like somebody's gonna trip you up, something like that. And like I was even talking to T about it, and I was like, man, I think about like when I'm wearing like a long dress or like a maxi skirt, and the way that thing gets like tied up in my legs, I'm like, nah, there's like, I'm like, there's no way. Like that cape should be tripping him up way more. And I'm hoping that in the future we get more of like a Batman Beyond kind of suit where it's at some point in life where it's just no more capes, man. Like I get it. It's the aesthetic of Batman. It's what everyone kind of wants to see. but I just feel like it's not practical. If you got the wingsuit in there, the cape's not doing nothing.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
It's not functional.
And this is where the science I was asking for, because if you have that cape, where the hell did it go behind that little air suit? Like, I want to know where that was.
It was like a shade. It just like rolled up behind him and like tucked underneath the hood. Like you push a button and it's like I don't know.
I think the cape popped off because when he gets up, he didn't have the cape on like after everything like was like destroyed.
Probably. Or get like falcon wings. I don't know, something.
Okay, so this is what I was gonna say, because like I like the suit. I like you said, like aesthetically gorgeous, but it's missing in that practicality. Like Christian Bale's Batman, like especially like when he met up with like when Lucius was like helping him, the little wrist things were like they could shoot out like I don't know what you call those things. But you guys know the little like fins things that he had.
Yeah.
Like, almost like ninja stars.
Almost, yeah. But and he had that in his suit. He had the cape that functioned as a glider. Here, like you said, he just has this cape that serves nothing. It's just there to be aesthetically cool, and it's like, why? Like, it gets stuck, and it gets like, it's a hindrance more than anything else. And I'm like, he doesn't need it. So yeah, I'm with you. Welcome a wingsuit. Cut the cape.
Thank you.
You don't need it. Like, he's already like so practical in his design. Seeing that cape just did nothing.
So
we're gonna have a stupid wingsuit.
So I hope like if anyone like watches this who might be in the next sequel and like need an extra writer, let me know, because I would love to see a scene where Batman like walks into maybe an orphanage. Maybe he like redoes the orphanage after this movie because he realizes that that's a responsibility he wants to take on. He walks into the orphanage and there are kids there and they're watching The Incredibles and he's Batman and he like sees, or even Bruce Wayne, and he just like looks over and he sees Edna being like, no capes. And you just see him like watching.
Because it's that montage that comes after them getting like sucked into the plane.
The montage, yeah. Like I want to see Bruce Wayne or Batman see that. And then I want to see him go back and just like, Alfred, you think my cape is stupid? Like, I just want to see
how you
him
feel
think
about
it. Like, do you think I need it? Like, or maybe like, can we make the cape more functional? Like, can I put like a button and it rolls up when I don't need it? Like, I just want to see him think about it, because at this age with superheroes, especially after The Incredibles, the audience, like just like we just did, why does he have the cape?
Yeah,
like it's not practical. I would love if they actually put that in the next movie. I would die.
They're gonna do it. So how do we feel about the Batmobile?
I like it.
Did y'all?
I got a little moisturized. As soon as the car revved up, I was like, well, this is what women feels like on the inside. This is sexy.
It was sexy.
A sexy car. That was a very homemade built car, and I don't know what muscle he used in that, but it's only for one person, because the whole left side, right side of the seat, there was no passenger, nothing but engine. So that car was 100 and something degrees in that bitch. I mean, that's that car. My bad for cursing. It was 100 and something degrees, because it was good. That car chase scene with the Penguin was awesome.
Phenomenal.
You mean the car chase scene where they killed a bunch of people?
Oh, a lot of people died.
To get the riddle wrong?
Oh, yes.
Oh,
a lot of people died in that scene.
Okay.
A lot
as soon as the Penguin was like, do you even speak Spanish? Do you Spanish, bro? Like as soon as the Penguin said that, and the look on Lieutenant Gordon and Batman's face, whatever, they were just like, oh snap, did we mess up? I was like, you just killed a bunch of people. What are we, what?
We're just gonna leave. And I said that in the movie theater, and I was like, so nobody not gonna talk about all that murder that just happened on the road?
No.
And people actually laughed. They were like, word. Like, that was a lot of murder. We know the guy in the gasoline truck is not alive anymore. Neither is the other guy driving the other semi truck. Where the bus come from? I was like, wait, where is this bus going? On a freeway. Never mind. Don't ask. It's Gotham. It makes sense.
No, there be buses on the Prospect Expressway. They be over there. Like,
okay. Was that the Prospect Express?
Well, the ones that go like the command buses that go from Brooklyn to Manhattan, like they take the highways and everything like that. I mean,
okay. And then all the other cars that just crashed, and I was like, well, somebody's gonna be needing vengeance soon after Batman, but let's see what kind of new criminal will pop up
That is
after that.
That's a
You
good
know, though-
point. And I can't let's make sure when we talk about villains, we bring that back, because the question of like Batman creating his villains, I think is really important for this movie.
Mhm.
But we'll get to that. Go ahead, Alcott.
But if we're going,
I was just gonna say it's not a Batman movie unless there's death and destruction. Like that's kind of like his MO. Like Christian Bale's driving off rooftops in his car. Like where's all those tiles falling? Like that chase from Batman Begins. Like he was smashing barricades and moving cars. Like there were people. I'm pretty sure there were people who were dying there.
Everyone dies except for the villains.
That's just
Yeah.
Batman. That's just
You know, and
classic
you know
Batman.
why? Because it's bad for business, because Batman is an Arkham and you need to be the supply and the demand for Arkham, right?
That's right. That's right.
So I was talking to T about the Batmobile, and I was just like, man, I just feel like it's too loud. Like it's just
It's so
too loud. But within this conversation that we are having, I just kind of had the thought process, like, that's probably his point. Like he wants his villains to know, like, I am on that ass, like I'm coming to get you. And like that probably even generates even more fear. So like if they do hear the Batmobile coming down the street, it's like, oh man, we gotta go, y'all. So I've made my peace with how loud it is. But it definitely did look cool. Like, you know what I mean? It definitely looked like a bat out of hell. Like the way it just came out the fire, how loud it is, how just like monstrous it feels. And I've heard people describe it as like it feels like a demon. Like
I was
it's got
just about to say
life.
that. It's demonic. It looks like a demon. Sorry.
not like a tank rolling down the street, can't turn no corners, just riding over crap, just going straight down the road. No, because we need some good science in this movie, and this was some great science. Because Michael Keaton had the most flavorous car that you could have. But when we say how you're driving with fire out of your car, you're on the freeway from your house to Gotham, you're perfectly fine. But when you start hitting them little neat corners in the city, my man, how do you turn that thing? Okay, this is the sign. Even as a kid, I used to watch those cars. Like, how do you turn? All right, Val Kilmer's car. How do you turn? Then we went with Christian Bale's car. I'm like, my man is riding on roofs in this city. I know a baby is dead in this house.
Not the babies.
The baby is gone. Somebody took my baby. And then all of a sudden now you got a muscle car. That made perfect sense.
It made sense. I prefer the Tumbler, you know, like I like the quiet, like the kind of a stealth machine, like, because again, Batman, but like this kind of Batman, especially with this Batman who's not necessarily like utilizing every facet of himself right now. He's only kind of the only tool in his toolbox he's really playing with right now is fear. So it's like everything is fear and intimidation, and that's what this vehicle does. That's what his suit does. So maybe we'll get to see that growth, you know, moving forward. But like here, like you said, Vanessa, like it not necessarily my cup of tea, but I love that chase sequence, and also I love the way it was shot. Like it was almost exclusively just with like cameras mounted on the side or like by like the rear view mirror. Like we've seen like a chase sequence that wasn't like top down, you know, like or like from behind or anything. Like
you are in it.
You are right behind the Penguin's head.
And you feel it. Oh my God. I love that.
It felt like being in Grand Theft Auto, like the video game. Like it almost felt like you were driving too, which was
so intense. You feel that fear trying to get away, you know, and just like trying. And then also it's like you said, it's loud. So it's like even when he thought he lost it at the beginning there, you hear that engine perk up behind and he just swoops in and it's like, yo, this is intense.
I was like, oh man, I was like, he is not giving up. He was like, he's
relentless.
What did have me laugh a little bit is his walk. I forgot what movie it was from, but they do it in every movie. Like when the car crashes and the hero just slowly walks to the broken car,
up,
and then he just
like snatches him out.
He just looked at him like, hey, what's up? How you doing? I got you. All right.
You're it.
You're it. Like that was good. And you know what I like? I hope they keep going the realistic route with some of their villains, because they're speculating, because I don't know, this is all reading crap, but they said they want to do Freeze. Now, if you did Freeze, don't do him like the books. If I did Freeze, like in a realistic tone, I would say he has to be stuck in a hospital, like, and have people doing his bidding for him, like on some real terrorist kind of crap. That's my point of view. But if you ever do another murder mystery, he has the Calendar Man and Victor Zsasz. And if you put two of those in one movie, yeah.
That'd be great.
A lot of killing in that one. Too much murder.
Speaking of villains, how did we feel about the villains in this movie?
Oh,
Can I go first real quick?
Yes,
Yeah.
go first, my friend. Go first.
Only because like I'm gonna just let y'all rock on this because I did not like the Riddler at all. I don't like Paul Dano. I don't
Hot take out.
I like his I don't mind him as a serial killer, but I thought he was way too flamboyant and just like not flamboyant, but like just like extra. And I just feel like that wasn't singing Ave Maria. Like, no, I'm not here for it. I don't want to see this.
You don't want to see a psychopath or a sociopath? Both? I don't know.
I like a sociopath, but like if you're going Seven, like Kevin Spacey in Seven, like he was very serious and very just like he was dogmatic in his approach, what the Riddler was as well. But then like to toss in this extra grandiose stuff, and I'm like, why? Like if you are so angry, if you're angry at all these figures for their lying and their corruption, I wouldn't necessarily associate that with like being playful. You know what I mean? Like if all of that turns you into this like this angry force of chaos, destruction, whatever, like to then just be all, I don't know. I thought it was too fanciful, man. I wanted him to be more serious, more grounded, not whatever we got.
I can respect that take. I think that his Ave Maria and his like almost like joyfulness or like playfulness is the equivalent to like a more traditional villain's like maniacal laugh. Like it's just like this manifestation of the energy that he's putting into this. Like he's angry and he wants to do all this stuff, but he's getting a kick out of it. That's why he's doing it. Right? Okay. Like he enjoys getting revenge on these people, like that's how he feels. I love that chaotic energy for him. It gave me a little bit of like a little bit of Joker from Dark Knight, like when with the camera, with the camera, or even after he blows, like when he's like trying to blow up the hospital and it's just like, what am I doing? And then he like, it's just like that skittish energy. The extra over the top energy just felt right for this character who was clearly off, like out of his mind. I thought it was needed for that.
I would say what you're saying, because analyzing what you're saying and going back in my mind, he started liking it after the first kill. Because remember, he killed the dude in the mayor. And right after that, that's when you start seeing him go, okay, I got this one down. Let me see if I can kill again. And again, then he started getting comfortable with the killing as a real killer would. And then he got more into, okay, great. Because to me, he got kind of playful after he started killing, he's like, great, let me go on the camera now and talk about what my next plan is because I'm getting the gist of it. And soon, when we start seeing him talk on camera, he said, don't forget to bring the Reynolds wrap. And I was like, what the hell is a Reynolds wrap for? And we realized serial killers will wrap themselves in plastic to put clothing so their DNA don't fall on anything. And I was like, that's a great serial killer thought away. Nobody got that part, huh? Nope.
No, I didn't get that.
I didn't catch that.
And I watch a lot of Snapped and ID Discovery, and I'm
look back. If we ever go back to the movie and he's on they're reading the computer screen, it says, don't forget the Reynolds wrap.
Yeah. I remember seeing that.
Yeah. And when Batman unmasked one of the villains, he said, what are you? He said, I'm Vengeance. He had Reynolds wrap over his hair. And if you look, was around his neck and his body. Like Dexter. Reynolds wrapped the entire.
How sweaty is he?
Very musty. Like, I don't think anybody bathed in this whole movie. No washcloth, no soap, no Dettol.
Except Alfred. Don't do my man Alfred like that.
Except for Alfred and that old woman in that house that, Lord knows, we don't even know where she comes from. She just appears out of the corner.
I think to Al's point, like, at certain points, I feel like it was overacted. I like the chaotic energy. I just feel like the actor at certain points, I was like, okay, you could
cast him for that reason though.
They did.
That's Paul Dano. Bruce Wayne. What the heck, man? Get me out of here.
Oh my gosh.
I love that scene though.
Yeah, his little Twitch stream was entertaining to me because I was like, man, you know what? That if you're gonna, you got to use all the tools at hand to get your following behind you.
Gotham got brought down by a content creator, which is a meme I saw, and I thought it was
a vlogger.
Followers.
Hey guys, welcome to my vlog.
That's all you need is a small but dedicated following. Like, what is 500
it was
followers
dedicated to 500,
right
and that was the most. I'm like, wow, 500 followers, not 1,000. This man really went off with with just a slice of bread. He went and got almost people killed.
Definitely did. But I enjoyed his interpretation. I rewatched Jim Carrey's Riddler not too long ago, and I was just like, yeah, this was a lot. This was a lot.
I have another blow your mind, Vanessa, about that, since you said that.
Yeah.
They're wearing the same glasses.
Oh.
That he wore in the beginning when he was just a scientist?
Yes, the see-through lens glasses, and this guy's wearing the same glasses. And I picked that up from the movie. Boom. I'm a nerd. I'm a blurred.
I appreciate you with your Easter eggs. That's great.
I appreciate that.
Okay. I rock with that. But like, yeah, and I could kind of see some of the Jim Carrey in him a little bit with like a bit of that like maniacal kind of behavior.
That is the Riddler.
And being over the top. So, but it definitely was in a more grounded kind of way. Like, you know, we don't got that bodysuit that Jim Carrey's running around in.
Spandex and life,
right?
I think I would have just preferred if it were one or the other. It's just seeing those two sides merge together. But like you made some good points. Like he was reveling in it and enjoying it. But I don't know.
Yeah. All right. What about Falcone? We've seen Falcone pop up a lot of times.
He's great.
I loved him. Loved
the way he talks. He just make you go like, I love his acting. Like, yo, he started talking. I'm like, well, I'm gonna completely wipe my mind of anything that what he ever has done, and this is it. This man made me believe. What is his nationality anyway? Because he played a great Italian.
I don't know in real life. I'm not sure.
Good question.
But he was very charming. I'll say that.
Very
like
charming.
To your point, like it's charming where it's like, oh, if you met him, you'd be like, nah, you don't murder people.
Yeah. Not you.
No way.
When he talked about how much he paid for his sweater, I was like, my man is rich.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Brooklyn born John Turturro. Sorry.
He that club. I also liked that where it was like the club and then it was like the club in the club. You know, kind of thing. Because I feel like usually when we see Falcone, we're going to like some random Italian restaurant or something that we're in. So
which they did in previous movies.
Right. So it's like to see him like having a nightclub and then like, this is how I push my drugs and this is what I do. Like, you know what I mean? So like, I really run this underground ring. Like, this is all me. I thought it was great to see him in that position.
Easter egg. Yeah. What's the name of the club?
Was it Iceberg Lounge?
What's inside of the Iceberg? What's the other club?
The club in the club?
Or below?
40 Below. It's both it's both cold nightclubs. 40 Below and the Iceberg Lounge.
Is that supposed to be like a Mr. Freeze thing?
No, it's 40 Below is actually the Penguin's second club in the books.
Oh.
Okay. So then
Iceberg Lounge and 40 Below. And that was like another club with it. I am such a damn nerd. Wow.
Well, that's why we have you here.
That's why we have you on. Hello. You're supposed to make these connections.
I know, but it's like if I only studied my homework as much as I read comic books, it would have been a very glorious life for me.
I mean, so since you mentioned the Penguin, we might as well get to Colin Farrell's Penguin.
Like, but real quick, can I also just add for John Turturro? I love that he like you said, you don't really suspect or think that he would do, like there's something very charming and like approachable. But even when he's talking to like Bruce, like he seems almost paternal, like, and it's we don't really, we've seen a couple Falcone. We've seen Falcone before. Am I thinking of
Heavyweight old man, white man.
the other one?
Yep.
From
Okay,
Dark Knight,
Yeah, he was in
But,
Batman
like,
Begins, right?
But played completely
Batman?
differently, and I just love seeing these other facets, these other sides to characters we've already been exposed to.
And that's what I meant. Like we usually see him like in the Italian restaurant, and like Bruce is coming in, and he's like, "Oh, Bruce Wayne, Prince of the City. What do you want? Get out of here! You don't know it." You know what I mean? Thing, but like this time it's very much like, "Yo, let me school you. Like, listen, come here."
And that is so important when we find out that he is actually Selena's dad.
Yeah.
Because obviously he wasn't giving that to her.
Right. At all. Like
at all.
There was, that was because she did take over the mafia at one point in the books. And I was also tripping when I actually read that, because they never said who her parents were. And then one day she actually had to take over in the book, and she didn't want to tell Bruce. And Bruce was like, "Why are you doing this?" He's like, "Well, this is my father. He worked for this, and this is what we did." And he said, "Who's your father?" And she told who the father is. And he was like, "Wait a minute, what? Damn." But what I also
that was the wild twist for me. I did not see that coming. And I was just like, this is a thing. Okay, we're doing this. We're going for it.
And also his penchant for like choking his victims and stuff, like probably how he killed her mom, like like he was going to kill his own daughter. Like, this is, my man, dark.
Gruesome dude.
Well, he don't want no connections to his life, so he rather kill it so nobody could actually hold him against it. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But the other twist as well was learning that Martha is an Arkham, and Martha is not an Arkham.
Wait, we'll get to that.
We'll get to that.
We'll get to that.
Okay.
But to wrap up Falcone, like I was surprised to know that like Thomas helped him, and then he helped Thomas in the way that he did, to see that he is involved in the Wayne family in that kind of a way. Like I didn't see that coming either, and I was just like, oh, this is very interesting. And I didn't like that he died in the end. I didn't want to see him die.
I don't think he's dead.
You don't think so? I mean, he got put down. He seemed pretty dead.
I don't think he's dead yet. Maybe. Who knows? We don't know.
I think him being dead makes more sense to give the Penguin some room to flourish. Like Falcone almost needs to die in order for us to get like a real showing out from the Penguin.
Yeah.
And also some closure for Selena, so she can just like close the door on that chapter of her, her life.
I mean, yeah, but if he wasn't dead, that'd be a good reason for her to come back.
Yeah.
We gonna come back to
finish
Selena.
the job.
That job part, what she did, I was so upset. I watched the movie like, yo, this is how you that close in this.
Yeah, let's touch on the Penguin first. Colin Farrell in tons of prosthetics. His wonderful New York, Jersey, Bronx accent. Y'all know Spanish?
Loved it.
Hey, where you going, man? Take it easy.
I mean, I think you should cast, like actors. Like there are like heavy-set actors you can cast. You know what I mean? Like
Colin's taking some jobs.
Taking some jobs, but like that performance was so fun. Like
it was.
Can't be mad at it.
And they even said that nobody realized it was him underneath the prosthetics. He was just walking around on set.
Oh,
I would have never thought. But to Al's point, there definitely are guys who actually look like that and who are actors.
There's an actor who looked, when I saw a promo picture, I think his name was Richard Kind, but I thought it looked like him, like kind of like just a grungier version. And I'm like, that's Colin Farrell? Like him? Like, I couldn't believe it.
When I first saw it, I thought it was dude who played Hagrid from Harry Potter. And I was like, oh crap, he's in the way. That's not him.
That is not him.
That is not. No, I thought.
Coltrane? No.
Definitely not. But it was a great performance. I loved him. I love how he brought some levity to the movie. I think without him, the movie would have been too dark, too serious. So I'm glad.
I still would have took it.
So, but and we'll kind of get back to this, but for like a casual viewer, you have to have some of that.
Yeah.
Like you got to have something that's going to keep those people in. And he brought that, and he brought the entertainment value a little bit higher to the movie to watch that. But I'm interested to see his rise. I love that he's, you know,
For sure.
because I think we always get the story of like him kind of being like up under somebody, but always wanting more. So they definitely were playing on that, and I want to see him rise to number one, and I want to see what they're gonna do with the show. I think it's gonna be
because I heard now they're just focusing on that one and not even to do the GCPD TV show. They're just gonna only focus on the Penguin and that one. That's I was like, hey, we did that. I mean, I don't see the point.
Yeah, so with that one, they were gonna do a GCPD centric show, but Matt Reeves was like, as we were writing it out, we decided that we wanted to focus more on Arkham. So that's the one that transitioned into like being more about Arkham and what goes on in there, and like some of the corruption and seeing the villains and that kind of stuff. So yeah, that one transformed into that.
It better not be like Gotham.
I liked Gotham.
All right.
I liked Gotham. I thought it was a good show.
Proud display of love for Gotham.
I stand by it, man.
When I saw Mr. Freeze, I was like, yep, I'm done.
I'm gonna stand beside him, especially the first season. I can't speak for like, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't watch all of it, but like that first season, I liked where they were going. I liked it. I loved Jerome. This is quick aside, but if anybody has not seen it, I think it used to come on Fox. TV show Gotham. It was centered around the GCPD, especially Gordon. Very young Gordon. And we see like Batman, Bruce is still a kid. Like his parents just died. Like this is after his parents just died. And that's how Bruce and Gordon meet. And so we see young Selena, we see young Poison Ivy, we see all those kids.
Grew up out of nowhere.
All of them kids coming up together. Yeah, and we get like all of their like villain origin stories and everything, and so
also
So I was into. We gotta look into Arkham and like seeing all the corruption that goes down in there. They were like running like experiments and tests on people down there and stuff like that. So I was into, and I like the guy who played the Penguin in that too. He had that little waddle because he was like deformed or something. I was so I'm just saying that is my spiel for Gotham.
If they're gonna do Arkham, just make it as gritty and serious, just not as that, because Arkham is not a nice place.
No.
Like I want to see what they do, like the backstory, like I want to see like what that family was really messed up in doing, because well, the fact is they made Martha Arkham. That was just that threw me off because, no, let me not go into that direction.
But I thought Martha was like an Arkham in the comics. Like,
there is a comic book. There is a storyline where she is Arkham. Yeah, I don't know the name of it, but there is one
somewhere.
Because she's a Kane, and her last name is Kane. She's related. Her brother is Cassandra Cain's father, which don't make sense, because after they died, I'm like, well, the father from Cassandra Cain didn't adopt Bruce and left him alone, and this man lived a military life with twin daughters. Batwoman is actually his cousin.
Different storylines, different origins, I guess.
Yeah, but
it was in Earth One. Sorry.
So I'm unless the Cain is the mother from the mother, and then she married. Let me see where I'm going.
So let's get on to Catwoman.
That's the best part of these films, though. It's like you don't have to choose where you're drawing your inspiration from. You can just pick from everything.
Mix and match it.
Mix and match. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, and so we get Zoe Kravitz, the wonderful, charismatic, electric Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman, Selena Kyle. Who is a waitress at the Iceberg Lounge in 40 Below, and turns out, plot twist, spoiler alert, is Falcone's daughter, right? And
a cat burglar.
And a cat burglar, yes. But in this movie, she was robbing for good. She was trying to help out. Every time we saw her stealing, it was to help out her bestie. You know what I'm saying? BFF. So I like that. I like seeing it like that. I like that it wasn't just like, oh, I just be rapping people. Like, because like, you know, we of course have Michelle Pfeiffer. We had our Halle Berry, and we also have the version of Catwoman, who I actually really love in the Harley Quinn animated series. Like, I just loved her whole steez and like her whole like ambiance and everything. Like she was literally walking up to brunch and was like just snatching stuff off of people. But
Anne Hathaway too.
Anne Hathaway, Anne Hathaway as well. Eartha Kitt. But I liked this Catwoman. She wasn't as overtly sexual as Michelle Pfeiffer was. It was a little bit more subtle. There was no meow kind of thing, like, you know what I'm saying? She wasn't doing all of that. She wasn't licking his face, like, you know what I mean? Like, Michelle Pfeiffer was getting it in.
I think that tracks for the Selena character in this movie though. Like, if if her mother worked at the club and she has this like almost this, I don't want to say tension, but she's trying to balance like, all right, my mom worked at the club and my dad probably had her killed, and like she grew up around that. I can understand why she wouldn't make that like part of her theme, like straight off the back, until she got to the point where she really needed to start scamming people. Like, I can understand that not being like her natural inclination right now. And I was actually offended for her when Bruce made the assumption that she was like, I think it was when they were on the roof. Like he made the assumption that she was sleeping with Falcone. I was like, excuse you, Wayne. Like, why would you automatically, excuse me, no hoe shaming. Like, don't do that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm one of them. I thought she was until she said I was a father. I was like, well, that makes sense. Because I was like, this was weird.
I definitely thought it was sugar daddy vibes, at least. I was like, he's definitely paying her way. But then, like, when we saw those eviction notices and stuff, I was like, okay, maybe he's not paying her way. So it makes sense why she's stealing and stuff. And she grew up, you know, in the underground and stuff like that, and in the streets. Yeah. So it was nice. I like seeing their fight scene together, like when they're at the mayor's place and they're like trying to break in, and like they have that whole fight scene and it's all lusty and everything like that. Sexual. I was like, ooh, this is okay. And she was hitting the moves and I was like, I see you, Zoe. You've come a long way in your superhero portrayals, and I think now you've blossomed. This is wonderful for you. I love it for her.
Do you think Batman or Bruce Wayne like is pining for her now? Like, do you think in the next movie we'll see him like trying to look for her, or like just like really being stuck on her now?
Maybe.
Yes, 1,000% yes. That final shot with the Michael Giacchino score as they're riding on the bikes and he looks like in the rear view mirror as she like no longer actually rides into the mist, and you hear that music, you feel what he's feeling. Like, he is pining for her in that moment. But he, as soon as she's gone, he knows like he can only just be about this mission for at least for now. Like, this is his life at this moment. But like, yes, she has made a huge impression on this man.
A lasting impression indeed.
Lasting.
Any last things we want to get off about Catwoman before we move on?
Yeah, I didn't like the way she walked in that movie. All right, that was weird. All right, I don't know if it was the director's decision, but I was like, why she's walking overly sexual for no apparent reason?
They all do that though.
Overly
no,
sexual?
it was just I was just like, and then no, this killed me. When she walked with the gun, she was just moving. Like, I was like, what? Girl, walk normal and shoot him like everybody does in movies. I'm gonna go and shoot my daddy. And I was like, wait, who directed? Because when she walked around in the house, I was like, okay, that's a sexy walk, but that's normal. It was like a normal sexy walk. This one was like, let me force the sexy walk out of myself to make people get it. It was just weird. That's just me.
That's a stealth walk. If she's like trying to be quiet, like it's reading as sexual, but she's just trying to be quiet.
Then she should have had worn them leather ass boots if she can't be quiet in that damn movie.
Nitpick. nitpick, right? Why are all these women in heels? If you've ever been around a woman in heels, I don't care how short or tall it is, it's gonna give that click, clack, walking. My girl needed to be in some New Balances or something, something with some arch support, some rubber soles. Like, listen.
All right, I had like homegirl I was like, girl, you missed. You was this close, and I was like, how you, man? That kickback from that gun was not that serious. I shot a gun before; it ain't that serious. But I did like her acting as Catwoman. I did like it. I didn't like that milk drinking scene though. I was like, oh come on, you really gonna drink milk?
Yeah,
you really gonna drink that milk?
There always has to be a milk scene. Always.
She's Catwoman, man.
And then she didn't even drink the milk. She drank some of it and put it down. Now that milk wasted, and now it's warm and stuff in the house full of cats.
No, she got cats. The cats will drink it.
It's never wasted.
Never wasted.
I like her nails. I like that she had actual like long nails.
I like that too.
That was pretty dope.
I like that.
Yes, instead of having like claws in the suit or anything.
Yeah, I was, and I mentioned this to Nessa, I was fully waiting for Bruce or Batman to make a cat ears for her. Like she was just using the like the ski mask, which I thought was great because we're like year 1, year 2. But I just knew the last time we saw them together, he was gonna like, I have a gift for you. Like this will protect your head. Like I want you to stay safe. Like I made you some cat ears. Like I was. It felt
you had
like
high hopes in this, Bruce.
Yeah,
very high hopes.
You see, in the real world, that's where a girl ghosts you after that, because you're not gonna talk to you after. If you bring them like a Prince T-shirt or something. But anyway, let's not get into my life.
That was hurt. That was pain.
Bruce brings her some bat ears, and she's like, "Oh, you thought about me? Oh." And then next, this girl ain't gonna call me back and tell me she liked it.
She was leaving anyway.
I know.
What did he have to
It's been a goodbye gift.
Yeah.
A goodbye gift.
Think of me always.
Yeah. Maybe Bruce's love language is gift giving. You don't know.
What is Bruce Wayne's love language?
Physical touch.
Alfred, like
physical touch.
Man,
no, Bruce don't have a gift language. Alfred always tells him to do something to apologize. This man has nothing. He like, what
There's no love languages.
No,
yeah,
it's physical touch. It's physical
touch.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that'll get him going.
Unless it's like a very, very painful, traumatic situation, then you'll see Batman give another person a hug. Like when Tim Drake's father got killed, I was like, oh, he gave that boy a hug. Ripped all his Robin clothes off so he don't find out he's Robin, gave him a hug. When it's that he'll give you a hug, yeah, because he knows what that pain is. When the spoiler got hurt, he gave her a hug, but he know what that pain. If it's matching pain, hug. My dog died. Don't know how to agree with you on that. I just don't know what to feel. My fish died. Get another one. My dad got shot in the alley. Come
his
here.
love language is act of service, right? Gotham is his one true love.
There it is.
Gotham is his one true love. And he's out here to serve her till the end of him.
Till the end. He will give heart, body, and soul.
So can I pick on this part with Catwoman? Because it's still in a scene that we might talk about, but it's also with Catwoman. So that last scene, they didn't have to kiss. All right. You're above a highest, escape, Barclay Center, and you gonna plant the kiss. And I'm like, we didn't need the kiss, man. You could have took. I didn't need that rope. If I'm about to die and a girl kiss, but girl, what the hell? You ain't gonna have no rope or something to support us. You want a romantic kiss at this moment? I got shot in my chest.
Moment of my life. Yeah.
Yeah.
I will take the kiss. Yes.
Yes. On the floor.
The ship is going down. Okay. Yeah. The Titanic is sinking. You might as well.
Might as well, man.
I think you're looking at it the wrong way, Steele.
You know what? Probably I am. Because I think logical with certain things. Like, okay, we're gonna fall, and this thing is only hanging by one string. The kiss is not gonna make me forget about me going hurt at the floor. Like, I'm gonna be hurt. Like, I don't want to. If we was like on the floor, and I'm like, oh crap, this water is coming. All right, give me that kiss, because water takes a little bit of time for it to flood over. But I'm going to fall and die. Like that's like this. But it was, her heavy breathing was bothering me. I'm sorry, I'm nitpicking, but that I was like, where does heavy breathing coming from?
Oh boy.
And I'm like, wait, why are you heavy breathing? You didn't.
She been running.
In heels.
In heels. Okay. To get to the
The cops
she
wasn't
went
out of
back to
breath.
save her man.
Save her man from where?
She went to help him out at least. She said, man, we're
she
gonna
did.
go
No,
out
I did.
together.
I could agree on that. She did, because the
She
man
said,
got
we
shot
gonna
in
go
the
out
chest.
together. Bro,
With a
yeah.
shotgun.
Nick
Talk about it,
Cage
please.
got
Please,
shot
please.
in the chest, point blank range with a shotgun, and that thing did not pierce him at all.
Hold
No.
on, let's talk about the bomb in his face that
Face?
went off.
Wait.
Like,
The
where's the
Falcone
armor
scene.
protection here?
The when he was in the hallway and they shot him. Now everybody, we all know the science of life. All right, bullets tend to travel all over the place, especially with a submachine gun. So they hit him in the chest, and I'm like, bro, your armor is from here to here. I know you got hit someplace.
So I can suspend my belief enough to be like, all right, if it's a regular kind of gun, sure.
Semi-automatic.
Semi-automatic. If you're far enough, but shotgun and a bomb, like, nah.
No, the shotgun. I'm gonna say this: the shotgun was a realistic tone to that. Because come on, he really fell on the machine gun. Still fighting. Shotgun. Breath was gone. His breath all the way gone. It's a shotgun.
It wasn't, because he was still alive. So that's what we're trying to get at. Like, how do you survive that?
How do you survive? Or at least that's when he should have been knocked out all the way.
He was knocked out. No, the bomb to the face though.
That's what knocked him out.
And he didn't get burnt not once. Like this man
Alfred is in a coma.
Yeah.
Bruce was knocked out for 2 hours.
Alfred threw the bomb. Alfred threw the bomb.
So we all know science is not involved in this, like the Fast and Furious, because. But Alfred pissed. Alfred, you smart. You knew what the notes were. You've seen it, and then you turn it over and go, "Oh shit, it's a bomb." Like, how slow did you really have to realize? Like, I was like, bro, you didn't feel the weight. I'd have been really looking. Just, oh shit, throw it one time.
He tried. It was
it's
a little late.
Slow motion, man. It's in slow motion.
Late.
It's the same movement. It's just this.
They had to make it dramatic.
They made it dramatic, but Alfred was on it.
They had to make it dramatic. I also kind of felt like, in a sense, they used Alfred in a way of like they kind of would use like damsels in distress a little bit, like, oh, we're gonna hurt Alfred to kind of use this as motivation But it wasn't, because as soon as Alfred opened his eyes, Bruce was like, "You lied to me." No, like, and that actually made me laugh a little bit. He didn't say like, "Oh, you're okay. I love you so much." Like, Alfred wakes up, looks over, smiles because he sees Bruce, and Bruce is like, "What up, N-word? You lied to me." Nap time's over. What's up?
What's up? Square up because you lied. What are we talking
People
about?
get
you know what?
every day,
I would have done the same thing too if I was that pissed. Like, if I found out like on some stuff like, yo, you did this, I'm just gonna sit at your hospital bed as a friend. You wake up.
Wait, oh, you all right? Okay, cool.
So you just gonna not tell me that you stole my mom's car and did a robbery, and now you got 2 legs missing?
You gotta be like, so I find it funny how.
No, I'm not. I'm that kind of person that would actually do that. Like, really look at you in the hospital bed with tears in my eyes, but also ask you, you dumb? You dumb for real?
So Alfred knows the truth, right? About like Thomas and Martha and a lot of their secrets and everything like that. And I think that brings us to a great place of like, we don't get that typical scene that we get with the, in Crime Alley, pearls falling, gun going off kind of thing. They skip all of that, which I think is great, was not needed at all. We got all the information that we needed within the 3 hours of the film. But also we find out that the Waynes are not as perfect as they try to make them feel in other movies, right? Like, I forgot which Batman film it was, but they were like, literally, they were going to that theater and they were dressed to the nines and riding the train. And I was just like, I don't need to.
I remember that vaguely.
That may have been in Batman Begins.
Yeah.
Was it Batman Begins?
The flashback,
Yeah, and like, And like Thomas was talking about, like, yeah, we built this train system so that we can help the people, you know, and blah, blah, blah. And all. They're always like this picture of perfection, even though they're billionaires. And how did you get that money? We know their secrets, right? But they always make them seem like these angels of Gotham. And it's so sad that they were murdered and everything. But this time we find out that they both have very dark pasts, right? Like still, like you were mentioning earlier, Martha was in Arkham, but she was also in and out of Arkham, right? Like she had mental illness issues and she was in and out of Arkham. And then Thomas low key, high key set up a murder, like, you know, as he was running for mayor. So how did you guys feel about this new kind of portrayal of the Waynes?
Oh no, I've read that before in different reiterations of books, so I'm actually used to it. I have no problem with them changing what the Waynes are. In the video game of Batman from Tall Tales, Jonathan Kent. Jonathan Kent.
Wrong parents.
Wrong parents. Bruce's father was actually experimenting on people in Arkham, and they found out. There were never ever this trope of thing. That's why, like, even in certain books, they were like, the Waynes got killed because randomly, but they got killed for political gain. They got killed for doing some stuff in the background. The father was always like and what was it? In one book, they said like the father was in some kind of thing with the Court of Owls. That's why he got. If they bring the Court of Owls, that'll be dope. But yes, it's something, you know, in that trope of what I know, because you can't be that rich. All right. Wait, should I go into that? No, let me not go into that history. That's another. But the Waynes are always into something that's not theirs. Like their whole family lineage, it's like they're off. Like their grandfather's not their their great-great-grandfather's not their grandfather. I'm just gonna say it like that because he's not a real Wayne. He actually,
I think you did mention that like in the previous pod. Yeah, in the previous Batman pod, you did bring that up. So T, I mean, you know, we're both like just pretty much in the films and stuff. So was it new information to you? I'm guessing it was.
It was. I'd never heard of that before. I'd never thought about Martha's lineage before. It's not something that's ever been on my brain. And then when they mentioned, you know, her being at Arkham, I instantly felt more like I cared about them as a character couple way more than I ever have before. Like, to me, they've only ever been like the inspiration for Batman becoming Batman. But now it's like I'm invested in learning more about how they even navigated being the Waynes in Gotham when both of them come from families that have like those are essentially the families with all the money in Gotham, with all the power. And now you produce this one heir who has like, it just intensifies Bruce Wayne's responsibility in my brain, and like adds way more nuance to this idea of like when Bruce Wayne is Bruce Wayne versus Batman. And it made me giggle when I thought about Batman being the supply and the demand, because he is the heir of, I'm assuming, the Arkham prison, right? Like you would think he has some stake
his name's
in that.
Probably on the paper. Yeah.
Right.
He owns shares in that.
He owns shares. And if that is the case, and maybe his mother was in and out of Arkham when he was a child, depending on how young he was, like, how do we know Bruce Wayne didn't grow up visiting Arkham as a child? And like, he knows some of the back, like, intricacies of the prison, and, you know, how to get in and out if they're sneaking in and out to visit his mother or whatever. Like there could be a whole history that Bruce has with Arkham outside of just putting villains in there. And I think that's really interesting.
I agree.
I don't think he was running around in Arkham though.
No, you don't know. I don't know.
Because like then he wouldn't. Did he know that he didn't know his mom had mental illness?
No,
but he would have known.
They hit all those paperwork.
Okay. So he would have known that she was at Arkham. Fair. It's possible he could have been up in there in the halls.
Yeah, if she's dealing with some of the stuff, she's taking him with her. Like, yeah, he would be in there. Probably like maybe walking past cells and like walking past villains as a young child, and who knows what that played, what that did to him as well. So I love that backstory, and I can't wait for them to develop that more.
I like this change in in that depiction of Thomas and Martha Wayne, because like you guys said, like, you know, we've seen them as the picture perfect, you know, like they were the crown jewels of Gotham, you know, and kind of just uncovering that there is some, that even the most pure of people can still have like secrets in history, and, you know, like, so that was all cool. And I will lightly touch into like the Court of Owls stuff, because that's like with the, you know, the secret, the wealthy elite and elite like running Gotham from behind the scenes, like, you know, through the ages, and Thomas and Martha Wayne like kind of being a part of that, which I hope that might come up. I hope to see that in one of these movies. But I like basically just saying that there's a little bit of tarnish to this to the jewel. The only thing I had an issue with in the movie with it is just the fact that Thomas went to like Falcone to try to like silence this like editor or whatever, because it's like, logically that just doesn't, like, why would you go to like
a mob boss?
To a mob boss, you know what I mean? Like, a hammer will only do one thing, it hammers, you know what I mean? Like, he's not gonna like go have a conversation, you know what I mean? Like, pay him off, like, you have money, like, why not, like, if we're gonna like, you know, kind of like get your hands dirty and like do things, like, why not try to like buy his silence, like buy the paper, shut it down, like. But to go to Falcone, like, that's just.
I have a comment on that.
You made some important sense right there. Sorry
I
about my voice crack.
I have a comment on that. Like, I wish there was more nuance. Like, you're right. The way that they framed it was that Thomas went to Falcone with this problem, but I wonder if it was more like Falcone either found out or just like happened to be around Thomas and realized that Thomas had this problem. I can see Falcone offering to take care of the problem for him.
I could see that.
If it came across, if it like came across that there was a problem, Falcone would see it as an opportunity to have Wayne in his pocket, right, in his pocket. Like, that makes sense to me. So I wonder how much nuance was there, because you know, if Thomas really saved Falcone's life, right? Falcone, that's the perfect setup for Falcone to be like, whatever you need, I got you. Like, you did this for me, I can do whatever you want for you. And if he finds out that Thomas has this problem, it's nothing for Falcone to be like, oh, I'll take care of that. That's nothing. Yeah, while also getting the mayor in his pocket.
That also kind of worked the other way around, because if you're asking for my help and he's like, yo, can you do this? Oh yeah, I could do this, but you're gonna do some stuff for me, and you're gonna have to pay it off, because I gotta murder someone. Right. So you're really now in my pocket, because if anything, I can make this come out like you got him killed. So still, it's kind of like, but why he went to him, that was, even Falcone didn't even understand. Like, you really looked at his face, he was like, your father came to me.
Like, he could have been lying, and I like that idea of like, if Falcone was there and is like, oh, let me do you this favor. The only problem with, not problem, but like the only thing I can't wrap my head around though is like, then why have any anger towards Thomas? You know what I mean? Like, he didn't do it. If he didn't offer him, and he said like, when he found out, what Alfred said was like, when he found out, he was gonna go to the cops about it. So it's like, why have any kind of like anger towards like Thomas? You know what I mean? Like, he did.
Who are you talking about having the anger towards Thomas?
Like Bruce.
I mean, he didn't know until he found out. Oh,
that's true. You're right. Like, again, I fell asleep during that part of the movie, but like, he learns that Thomas did all this, and he's mad at Alfred for not telling him this, and Alfred's like, hold on, you misunderstood what was happening. So
right, and it even sets up the fact that, you know, they mentioned that Thomas was thinking about going to the police and saying that Falcone had the reporter killed, and now it sets up that Falcone potentially murdered Thomas. I don't know that I believe that. I think that it's also possible that Court of Owls, or even that it was just some random criminal,
killing.
A random killing, and Falcone maybe was just like, I'm okay with people thinking I did it, but like, that feels like it could be believable as well. But that whole backstory I thought was like really interesting. But to your point, Al, that you made earlier, it was too quick. It was that we needed some time to breathe between finding out that Thomas was corrupt in some way, and then realizing that he wasn't. It's like that was almost too fast. I don't know that I believe that he all the way wasn't, because you did it too quickly.
Yeah, it was a quick turnaround for
Mhm.
sure. And then, well, let's get into the new look of Gotham. We got a new Gotham, y'all. They built us a new Gotham. It's definitely not the Burton Gotham. Although, I mean, I think in a lot of ways it feels familiar, but still feels very new and fresh. So I'm curious to think, Al, how did you feel about the set pieces? How did you feel about our new Gotham and what it looked like and what it felt like?
I did love this new Gotham. As I mentioned before, like I'm not a big fan of the Burton aesthetics, unfortunately. So like I couldn't get down in the Gotham. I love the Gothic architecture that was there, but like I like that this city felt real, and also putting Wayne Tower into the city, I thought was so cool too. Like in all these movies and all the comics, like Wayne Manor, you know, is always outside the city, almost outside the city limits. Everyone always mentions it. And then you have this guy who lives outside the city, who comes to the city to like do his work, kind of like the cops, you know what I mean? But, like, planting him like in the city, he's in it. There is no leaving Gotham for this guy. Like he's always immersed in it, and I love that. And I love that it's like central in the city and unused, you know. But yeah, I loved this Gotham for that. And yeah, it again, like just seeing Batman in the daytime, you know, seeing some sunrises, you know, like this was nice. This is really refreshing to see, like as like a Batman fan and stuff. So yeah.
I also want to mention that the Batman, parts of the Batman was filmed in Liverpool, London, Glasgow, Chicago. So they kind of took a lot of those parts and put it together. And like there were parts where I felt like, oh, this does kind of have like a European kind of feel. Like even like that kind of Times Square-y area felt more like London meets
like
Tokyo to me.
Trafalgar Square or something.
Yeah,
Piccadilly Square, Trafalgar, yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was right there by the square area because they got, but then you know they could have computer animation.
It kind of felt like, but to me it kind of felt more like London, Tokyo kind of vibe versus like regular like Times Square, in a sense, just the way like the buildings kind of looked and stuff. But yeah,
and
so
the rain
still had
too, like just sorry.
No, go ahead. Yeah.
I was gonna say, but also with the rain, it looked like, because again, Gotham is kind of like a dark, sad place, you know what I mean? And
always raining.
In this world where it's just always raining, it's always kind of gloomy, you know what I mean? Like it's a different kind of like darkness and like, you know, gloominess than like the Burton stuff, but still feels like Gotham.
Right. I loved the bodega. That made it feel real. Like you open it up and it's just like I know what's happening inside of that establishment. Like that is next door to me. It made it all feel very, very, very real to me.
It was just missing one thing.
A cat?
There you go.
Well, Selena got all of them. Selena got all the cats.
Selena had them all.
She rescued them. She was like, "You don't need to sleep on the bread, Papi. It's okay." Like,
she rescued all of them, and then only took one when she left. So I don't know where all the rest of the cats went.
They're back at the bodega. They went back to the bodega.
I was really and it's crazy. I was really looking at the bodega, like really sitting there with my beer and liquor shot because I brought that to the movie theater, and I really just like was like, "Yo, where's the cat?" Like, I don't know why I'm so New York, but I'm looking for this damn cat. If the cat is somewhere, because in Spider-Man, they had the cat. So I'm looking at like, yo, this cat, this Gotham, I know they got cats in this shit.
It would have been nice to see like a cat walk out the door or something like that. Yeah. That would have been cool to like, you know, preview Catwoman and all that coming out.
Which it's always funny. The way cats always walk in and out of movies, I always go hear them go, meow, meow. Like, is that the only sound they do in every movie?
It's a cat? Like, are you like?
But no, it's the exact same sound. Not
they're pulling from the stockpile.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
We're gonna use this one. It's the same one we've been using for the last 30 years. Let's just use this one.
I had a quick thought about like Pikachu and like Pokemon. I'm geeky too, right? Like I was like, Pikachu only says Pikachu, but even Pikachu does inflections in his voice and like people understand.
Like when he goes, what the heck? He go Pika Pika. You'd be like, he said Oh, when he like, oh, like you'd be like Pika, you'd be like,
Yeah.
There's some variation in there.
There's definite like
A little bit of
depiction.
personality.
you know, he goes like Pika, 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 Pika. He'd be like, what happened, Timmy? Timmy fell in the well? Oh my God, Timmy, let's go, Lassie. Like,
But also,
So is this one
I
of
forgot.
y'all? What happened?
I was just gonna say, I forgot one of my other favorite shots was this the cat, like when Bruce is looking at the contact footage and you see the cat and you see the "Where are you" scrawl there. And it's just for a moment it makes no sense, but like my mind was like, oh, this cat is asking where you are. Like, oh no, Catwoman wrote that message, not that cat.
Right. Not the cats.
you know what? Thinking about it, the cat was probably like, yo, I hear a voice coming from this. Who is this? Wow, somebody's talking through this thing you had in your eye.
Mhm.
You know, like how they go, what is this? What is this?
Pretty much. So I mean, no one really wants to live in them, right? But like, if y'all had to come to live in, which one would it be?
What, in Gotham? Have you
Like,
seen the crime?
yeah.
I would not live
movie
there.
Gotham?
I
Wait,
know. I
what's the
said I
question?
already said nobody wants to live, but like aesthetic wise, which one would you live in, or could you see yourself living in?
In which
Ooh.
iteration of Gotham I would move into?
Ooh.
Definitely not the Christian Bale one, because their slums are crazy. All right. Not that one.
That's true.
I will go with the Adam West Gotham. It seems safe. Crime.
Listen, I think that's a safe move to pull overall. You're like,
Not the
you're
Tim
doing
Burton
crime,
version.
but it ain't bad. No one's dying in Adam West.
Yeah, but at least that comes with sunlight. You know, Tim Burton was hella black, and we don't know what the hell is around these corners.
I would not live in Burton's Gotham.
No, it looks
at
cold.
all.
It looks like nobody wears a hat. Like they all wear fedora hats and nothing cover their ears, and they all wear trench coats. It looks very
It just
cold.
felt
But
too
Tim,
dirty.
yeah, Adam West is, you know, that looks like a very safe place. Like if Joker came about, like, oh, it's a Joker. Anyway, can I have this coffee, sir? Thank you. Great. Every other Gotham? No.
God.
Christian Bale's Gotham? No. Have you seen the alleyways in that? No, that is dangerous. All right. There was a scarecrow on a horse going through the city. All right. No. All right.
Well, we saw that, but like, I would just be upstairs, like just chilling in my apartment. Like, my answer
We're not
is
walking
Christian
down
Bale
Crime Alley, y'all.
I'm not going down Crime Alley. Like, you talk about Burton, and you got like people like backflipping down the streets, and it's like, who is this? You know, like people popping out of giant presents. Like, nah. I'm not. And then
Schumacher.
And this new Batman, like the rain. I don't like the rain. I don't like being wet all the time. But Christian Bale, like in Bale's and Nolan's Gotham, like it looked like a city. Yes, it was dangerous, but like that's New York. I could survive
agree.
there.
I agree too.
I think I could do that.
I agree.
Let's see if that happens. You hear the word, yo, you good? Negro. I'm not. My man, I went for a sandwich. Got robbed, molested. Like, I don't even know how I lost my shoes. I don't know. Something just
running too hard.
Yes.
Did y'all like Wayne Manor and that set piece?
No,
It was a very different. Well,
gothic.
It's very.
That was very gothic.
It's very different than what we've seen before.
Yes.
Like, so it was. I did not like it.
No,
I'm with you.
I didn't like the look of it.
If I'm not mistaken, I think Martha actually did the design in that. If I'm not in the movie, not the father. It's just she did that. If I remember hearing about it, Alfred, because that was.
It feels very old money in New York, though.
Thank you. That's what I was gonna say.
It felt very much like, you know what it kind of reminded me of. It reminded me of Kate Bishop
Hawkeye,
and like from the Hawkeye, and like how old money, like living at Grand Central, and like what that would look like on the inside. The inside obviously didn't look the same, and I would assume that the Waynes their money is way older than whatever the Bishops have. But it felt like if I was walking down Park Avenue and went upstairs, this is what the inside could potentially look like.
Yeah.
You can imagine going there and going like, yo, I'm gonna rob this place as soon as you get in there. So, because I can't find
wrong
anything.
Line of business.
Right.
This is nice.
Right. Hawkeye was like, this is nice.
This is you? It's all you? Oh, okay. All right. You live here? Cool.
Does he really? When he went to boy, we were going to Marvel. Excuse us, everyone that's watching this on YouTube. We're going into Marvel for 2 seconds. But when Kate Bishop invite Clint to her actual apartment, and he was like, "Wow, this is your first apartment?" I was like, "My man, she got a whole
loft
H&M apartment that you go, bro. How much is your rent? Because you look like you live
floors.
like friends. 2 floors."
No,
you got an elevator that goes to your front door.
You ask her her rent, and she's like, I don't know. Like that's the type of space she's like, I don't know. $800? No, it's not $800, Kate. Don't do that.
My mom pays for my rent.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. She don't know how much basically.
Let's hop into another aspect of the movie. And I thought of this one because I remember Al bringing this up. How did y'all feel about the film score? Because I know I'm looking forward to this. So Al, I'm gonna have you kick this off. How did it live up to your expectations?
It did, and then some, guys. That was a score, man. Because you're right. I remember watching the trailer, and it's like, oh, this is interesting. This could be good. Mm-hmm. But like by the third time that cue kicks in, I am ready. Mm-hmm. And again, Michael Giacchino, I mean, like, that's my boy. The dude did Lost. He did the Spider-Man movies. Like, he knows how to intertwine, like, kind of like the emotion with the emotion for the characters. Like, he does a lot of like character songs. Like character-based themes.
Did he do the Maguire movies?
No, not the Maguire.
The Spider-Man movie, or it was the other one? Okay.
Yeah, Danny Elfman did the Maguire movies, which was also very good. But
okay, you'll see why I did that. But yes, go ahead.
But no, I just love that he's able to like touch on these things. And again, like going back to that end scene, like we get so much in a scene with no dialogue, just mm-hmm. what we see and the film score kicking in there, and we get to know what Bruce is feeling, what Catwoman is feeling. It was just so powerful. And then again, talk about the relentless nature of this Batman. Like that score, it just keeps going. Like it gets you going. Like, yeah. So I'm all in. Like this is the perfect.
I'm so happy for you.
I love that for you.
I didn't think I wanted a Giacchino Batman. Like, but he did it, and I couldn't have imagined anything else. So yeah.
I liked it. It just the way it starts, like dan. I was like, am I gonna get the old Batman in this? Because it looked like they just took one part of like, nah, let's keep it like that, keep that, take that out, and I was just like, the score is still good. Boy, the score, and it made you feel in your chest like, I'm out of breath. I'm not even running. I'm out of breath. This is good. And then he just. Then Kurt Cobain comes on after that, and you just go like, well, still good. Like how they did this. Yep, still great. I'm all for it. Let's do this in next. And you know what? Let's thank Jordan Peele for that. Jordan Peele has took regular songs and made them into trailers. Now people are copying. There you go. Black man started it. Now everybody try to copy that.
What else is new? To your point, still though, like even when I just heard you do the first part of the theme song of Batman's song, it reminded me of the song that used to play in the WB Looney Tunes, like cartoons, whenever there like someone died or there was a funeral. Dun, 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 yes. And it like it sparks that like, okay, like something bad either happened or is about to happen. Like that, those chords like instantly triggered that from the Undertaker. Exactly. Instantly triggered that like emotion in me.
You can imagine if you were really Batman and you were walking to mess somebody up, and you like, let's say I had bad speakers, whatever. I threw them things on the wall, and I played that theme song. Do you know how frightened some people will be? Like, where is he coming from? And you just that was a very it just made it more intense. Like, sorry, Ben Affleck's Batman did not have that theme, but this one did.
So so for me, like. What's interesting is like, and I talk to T about this all the time, is like, I don't process like movies and experiences and stuff like that. I feel like most people do, like, because they'll be like, oh yeah, I was here and there when I saw this movie for the first time or whatever, and things like that. So that doesn't really hit me, but like to hop back to Marvel for a little bit and then come back to this. But when they did No Way Home, and spoiler alert, Toby shows up and they play that original character score him, it gave me all the feels, and I was just like I was transported back, and I was like, oh, I forgot how much I loved this. And I feel like this score for Batman is going to do that same thing for me, that anytime he put, even if they do like a mashup movie, if they try to, they try to do what they try to do,
he might show up in the Flash, you don't know.
But if they play that score and he walks out, it's gonna give me that same feel. Like that will forever be attached to Batman for me now. And it's the same thing like for the Wonder Woman score too, right? Like even like when in Batman v Superman, like they're going at it, they're fighting, and then that Wonder Woman score hits. I was like, oh, she coming. I was like,
but they always hit it with the You're like, yo, here comes Wonder Woman. I heard her scream.
Yes, coming. And so I love when a score can match up the feelings and the emotions for me. That it's like no matter where I am, like I could be shopping in H&M, and if that plays, I'm gonna be like, "Where Batman? Wait, who is shoplifting? Who did it?"
That'd be a funny prank. Play that really in the store and see people like, Batman coming? Really, like people really look around and see Batman is really coming.
So I'm always a fan when score can like bring you back to that moment, bring you right to that character, and do those kinds of things. Like that's what really gets me going. So I felt like, ooh, they found Batman's sound.
Yeah.
Like I guess that's the best way to put it. They found Batman's sound. Like I don't care what other sound they're gonna play, like you could play Keaton, you could play it from Nolan or whatever. I probably wouldn't, and maybe it's recency bias, but I probably wouldn't recognize it. But you play that, I'm gonna be like, oh, that's Reeves Batman.
Nolan's score for his Batman, it didn't capture me. The only score that caught my attention was when they used, it's like this little circle thing with little rails, and when you pull a chord string across a bit, that's when you hear the Joker part caught me, not Batman.
Yeah.
And then the second one was Bane's introduction score, like the doom, doom, doom. That caught me. Bruce, Batman, I just was like, Batman.
He's here. Okay.
He's there. But the Batman from this one, I was like, yes, Michael Keaton's Batman. Dun, dun. I get warm. I get tingly and fuzzy.
Yeah.
I have to shave my armpits after that because I start to sweat. That brings how it comes for me when it comes to this.
Yeah.
The what you call it? Those other Batmans in between, their score was just their score.
Schumacher.
Schumacher. Yeah, it was just a score. It didn't. Oh, speaking of which, Schumacher's Gotham. I wouldn't even live over there. It's too glowy. I'm just gonna I have to go back. It's too glowy.
Right. I was rewatching it. I was like, oh, yeah. I was like, no, it's like I get what he was going for, but it did not come to life in the right way. Like I think he wanted it to feel very comic booky, and it didn't work. It didn't work.
So we're gonna scratch that. But those, I didn't feel nothing for it. So Nolan's Batman, it's just a score. But this one,
I think this is gonna be iconic.
I think so.
Somebody gonna get his ass beat. I mean, his butt beat. Sorry. I'm trying to hold back, but
it's fine. It's fine.
So clearly you guys have a lot of background information in the comics, and some of these things were not as big of surprises for you as it was for the more casual viewers like T and I, and people who are even way more casual than us, right? No. Do y'all think this film speaks to the casual viewer? Do you think they can walk into this and be like,
enjoy it?
Yeah, and enjoy all 3 hours of it.
I would say no. I think it's now to the point where you just make it. If you like it, you like it. But for the casual fan, they will understand. That's like me trying to explain to two crackheads why this is like this way, and they can't get it. But if they read, this is where sometimes now when you really got to tell people, read the books. You guys are Harry Potter fans, but I will watch the movie and go, this is a good movie. But if you read the book, you get
It's
in
even
depth.
better.
And then you appreciate what comes out. Then you know what they cut out, what they don't cut out, or how the character was because they can't do it. We all know Hermione was black, but nobody want to talk about that. But you see where I'm going with this.
What?
You see where I'm going with this. You see where I'm like, if you read the book, you would get it. That's why sometimes when people say, oh, I don't get this Batman. And I'm like, he doesn't talk. He doesn't say, in a Batman book, he don't talk. He monologues like Max Payne all the way through. And then he talks to Dick Grayson or Alfred. So for the casual fan, no, read a book. Read a book. Read the book.
Take a look. It's in the book.
Reading Rainbow. Al, do you think this would speak to the casual viewer?
I think I will agree with Steele. I think the movie, I think the casual viewer will enjoy it for sure because it's a fun movie. But I don't think if you're just a casual fan of Batman and you're like, oh, you wanted to go see the latest Batman movie and you go see this, I think you'd walk away being like, oh, okay, that was good, but also very different. Like this is part of it is because like the film, you're seeing a Bruce on his journey to becoming the Batman that we all know and appreciate. You know what I mean? Like, and that's not who this was. This is a very dark and angry, brooding guy. Like we see very little of the fun, playful Bruce. We see very little of, or just like any kind of Bruce. Really, it's almost like 90% Batman. You know? So I think I would agree there. I don't think it's aimed at casual. Actually, I don't know. I would just say I don't think it's like targeted towards the casual fan. Not in this particular one. But I think everyone would enjoy it.
T, what about you?
So,
as part of the casual fan.
Yeah, I
Bob.
mean, me and Nessa go back and forth about how casual we actually are, which is a conversation for a different day. Like we see ourselves as casual compared to people who have grown up reading the comic books and have really been spending most of their lives with these characters and their stories. Of the people on this call, I'm probably the least versed with Batman because I've only seen the Nolan trilogy. And I thought that the movie was really good, but I'm also a fan of just stories in general. So I think it depends on the casual fan itself. If you just like going to the movies and you want to see like an action movie, you're probably not going to feel fulfilled by the end of this. There's some action, but not enough to carry you through 3 hours, right? If you are into mysteries, you can probably like get away with this movie. So I think it depends on, as a casual fan, why are you even walking into the theater? And if it's just because I want to go be at the theater, this is the hottest thing out. If that's like the level of casual you're at, I would be shocked if you don't fall asleep at some point in the movie. And that's not a comment on you, Al, because you are like an actual fan. But for you, right. Even if you are a fan, you'll fall asleep. So like of the story and all the background and everything, there's a possibility you fall asleep and miss some things. So if you're not a fan of the character, a fan of just generally like great stories, or you have a podcast and you have to watch it because you have a podcast, you're probably not going to. You'll probably walk out being like, I don't get it, or it wasn't as great, or it was too long, or like you probably have way more problems with it than not.
And
what about you?
I'm sorry. I was gonna say, I always tell people like when you go watch certain movies, don't go with a clear mind and an openness when you watch this. Don't listen to what the people say, and then say it on your own. Like, okay, I did like the movie. I did like it. I enjoyed it. But you guys are so focused on action, this, that. Like when I hear people, oh, there was no action, I'm like, I've told you numerous times, this is a detective story, not a Batman movie. If you want superhero Batman, then we'll have to get what's his name? Nolan. If you want a super, then you have to get Zack Snyder, because that's a superhero version. Batman is different versions. So this is a detective version. That's why you got Detective Comics. He don't do much but detective work.
That is a good point.
Read the books.
That's a critique that I've heard a lot, that it did not have enough action. And that's a good point. If you're looking for action, you get the Nolan, the Snyders, and they'll put that out for you. This was way more character development. And like you said, the detective story, right? So I feel like if you're a casual fan who is into things like horror, murder mysteries, detective stories, and stuff like that, I think you'll do just fine. But if you are, especially the casual viewer who's like, I'm here for spectacle, it's not going to do it for you, because then you're going to hit like halfway through the second act and be like, yo, we still going? Oh, now we're flooding the city. Oh my God. Now he's, like it's gonna, I think they're going to get fatigued really easily in terms of just like, all right, this is a lot of character stuff. When we going to blow some stuff up?
But that's like, actually a really good point about just the meta commentary on like superhero movies that have superheroes as characters and the expectation from the audience. And it made me think about Black Panther. One of my critiques coming out of Black Panther was there wasn't enough action, right? But that's because Marvel had set me up to expect a lot of action in all their movies. And I wasn't able to, when it first came out, to really understand that the purpose of Black Panther wasn't for that. It was to get the character development and really the storyline. Like it was to spend all of the energy focusing on telling the proper story for those characters. And so I personally feel like I missed out on that a little bit when it first came out, because I was just like, all we got was the car scene and the fight at the end. And I'm used to Marvel beating people up in elevators. Like I need more, to do that. And it's just, I think as a populace, if you tell me there's a movie coming out with a superhero in it, I'm expecting action. I'm expecting loud bangs for like at least a quarter of the movie. Yeah.
And I think some things that casual fans are kind of missing too is that like, this is year 2, right? And I think part of the purpose of the movie was to show that him starting to be Batman out in the city is bringing a different rise in crime, right? It's a new level of villains that are emerging now because of what he has inspired in certain people. Because at the end, Riddler thinks that they were working together. Like he thinks like we on the same team, like we fighting for the same purpose, right? And Batman's like, nah, like you're like you're wilding. Like I don't know you, man. Like so
I do not know that man. I'm sorry to that man, but I do not.
And it also it reminded me of like it might have been, it wasn't the first Avengers movie, but definitely in one of the movies following, where I think Ultron was being like, don't you think maybe you guys getting together is what's bringing?
Oh, it was like Vision, and it was the beginning of Civil War.
Sorry. Yeah. Like you guys are now fighting these intergalactic battles and stuff like that, but maybe it's because y'all came together and like people feel like that's a threat. So now they gotta come get y'all.
Yeah, because in the books they actually narrated in every Avenger, when Avengers come together, it's because of something has brought them all together. With the first ones, then the second the third or fourth with Luke Cage when he took over the Avengers. For some weird reason, Spider-Man, Blade, everybody just joined in and helped, and boom, that's how it became together. Every time when the Avengers came together, it's something around them that made them form, and then all the craziness starts happening. Justice League is a little bit different. Crap starts, and then they form. So it's always a reverse. It's a reverse with them. Stuff happens, and then they form, and they're like, "Oh, we need to work together." And I'm like, "Bro, I don't even know you from a bathroom. Like, I don't. How don't work?"
But I think there's something to be said of like, oh, now there's this mass vigilante running around delivering his form of justice. Like, why can't I do what I want to do too? You know what I mean? And like they letting him get away with it. Like,
but it also him to crime. It also happened in the Christian Bale movie. Remember with the fake Batmans that was walking around with shotguns?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
And he was talking to Alfred, how do I do this without having these copycats? But the copycats was on the Riddler side. Yeah. You're always going to get the copycat. Ooh, I forgot about that.
I think we have to like remember that we're still in the early years. There are still villains just kind of emerging.
Starting.
And so now we're focused on the character. Like this is an origin story of sorts. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I think people are kind of missing that as well. Like This is the beginning, and they're setting up. Because remember when Batman Begins, nobody cared about that movie. Like not in the way that maybe people look back on it fondly now.
Yeah.
I remember not really caring much about that movie, but then when Dark Knight takes off, right? Now it's like, oh, I'm all on board, right?
That's also the power of Batman, you know, like he's kind of one of those figures, you know, like I think he's always had a place in people's hearts in pop culture.
The only thing I really was upset about the Nolan's Batman in Batman Begins is Ra's al Ghul or Raj al Ghul, however you want to pronounce it. He wasn't depicted on how I feel he should have been depicted, like the books. Like he's always a Middle Eastern, fair skinned kind of person, and it was Liam Neeson. You know who I'm talking about. I was like
Liam Neeson,
and I was like
Liam Neeson.
Yeah, I was like, good actor, but to me, I was just like, that's not Ra's al Ghul.
That could have been that could have been them trying to like cultural sensitivities, like when it came out, like after 9/11 and everything. It could have just been trying to. I'm not trying to say that they're not also whitewashing it. It could have been like either of those things, but you know.
But in the trailers, they hyped up Chow Yun-fat as Ra's al Ghul. I remember seeing the trailer, sitting there, and I was like, Chow Yun-fat, great. Let's see what he. Then you find out he's not, and I'm like, what the hell? That was a
red herring.
Very much so, red herring. It was like, what's his name? From Iron Man.
Oh, Mandarin.
Mandarin. Yeah. It was
that made me upset too. I was so disappointed when I found out he's not the Mandarin.
But they brought it full circle. They did. They brought it full circle.
They did.
They brought it full circle. They saved themselves.
They did.
One other thing I wanted to add though to the point, like there was a line in Batman Begins about that whole escalation where he's like, you know, we start wearing Kevlar, they start buying armor piercing rounds, you know, like, and talking about like how they keep moving and like, they act and then the police act, the criminals react, and he's like, and you're a guy dressed in a suit, you know, like, and now we got these calling cards, you know what I mean? Like it's one drives the other, and so I think you're definitely going to see. And in this movie, like everyone's calling themselves Vengeance. I'm Vengeance. You know, like
by the end
that's
of
what
it,
happens if you go around saying I'm Vengeance as they're beating the crap out of people. Like, yeah. But I love that part of the movie. Like that's the part that really resonated the most with me, because it's like Bruce kind of had to really reckon with like, who am I inspiring? Who am I really inspiring in this city? Like this is what I said about like the wrong people are kind of taking notice, and then they're not just taking notice, they're taking like kind of the wrong lessons from it, and I think that's great. And there's also like kind of a meta commentary with that too, because it's just like, you know, people, like nothing exists in a vacuum, you know what I mean?
Right.
And so people see things happen, and we can all see the same event but have like wildly different like interpretations of it. And I like the fact that he kind of had to like look at this legacy that he made for himself, and it's like, oh, it's not too late for me to do something about this, to change. It's not the same thing, but I was thinking about like the Punisher, for instance, and how in the real world people see the Punisher and they're like, and you see like cops will have the Punisher skull decal, and they've kind of just like reclaimed this thing that had nothing to do with. They co-opted it. They co-opted his identity. And I like that this film, like you see people kind of co-opting like the Batman, like I don't know, like the enigma, the mystery, the vibe. Thank you. Like they kind of co-opt that vibe, and it's like it's not too late for him to kind of like reclaim that and just like refocus it. And I really, really dug that.
Yes.
That's
No, go ahead.
But I was gonna say that's a good way to transition to like begin wrapping this up, and just
I was gonna say, any last minute nitpicks, highlights that we didn't mention that you guys want to kind of bring to light? I mean, besides that, the movie was way too long, but you know.
So
the movie was way too long. It was. I mean, but no. Wait, what would Batman's? No, all Batman's.
It was way too. To me, it was way too long, and by the middle of it, I was like, you know what? I would have loved this as like
A series.
a 6-episode
Ooh,
series
yeah.
on HBO Max. Like I would love to keep walking around with him and solving crimes and doing that kind of stuff. That would have been really nice. But I was like, nope, but we're in this theater for 3 hours and this is what we're gonna get.
If they
I
did
got my
that, I'd have
mask
been
on. I
interested
was
as
like,
well,
I
because
gotta get out
that's
of
a
here.
lot of character development. And then we will see more of Jim Gordon, the corruption of the police department.
Selena.
They would have all put that in that whole like movie. And then we would have got Arkham, and let's see if it was a tie-in, like how they do the Walking Dead. They could have built it, but for some weird reason, I always wonder like why they don't want to do a Batman TV show. It's like, what are they scared about? Like, it's just weird. Like, we could get it on a cartoon, but we can't get a real one. But we could get all the other superheroes, but not a Batman or Superman.
Maybe they think they make more money from the movies.
I was just about to say that. I think that's really what it comes down to. Like the movies are just so profitable at this point. Like to put that franchise, like when you could make like 100 million, like, you know, and that was just open weekend, right? The 134.
Yeah,
like,
I think it's like at 510
that,
now.
like as opposed to just putting them like on like a 6-8 episode series, like you're just kind of like leaving money on the table at that point. But I'm with you. Like I would love to see this as a series for sure, and I hope we get some of this in the Oswald Cobblepot movie show. So
I just hope they use more of their other villains, because I don't want to see a Joker. I don't want to see him now at all. Like, yeah, keep him in the day, do little pop-ups here and there, like, you know, how you do all the other movie, but use him towards the end. Like, you got Victor Zsasz, you got Calendar Man, you got Mr. Freeze, you got the Quarter Owls, and everybody wants to see the Quarter Owl. You got Hush.
Yeah, he's got a deep rogues gallery,
Yeah, he has more people, but we're still using the bloody Joker. I want to see Robin. I don't want to see Nolan's Robin that we all got hyped on, and then we realized that's not Robin.
All right, Al. So what's that nitpick that you have for us?
Paul Dano. No. Yeah, I don't. It's just something I was thinking about, but like it's just regarding like the film. Not so much a nitpick, but just like who it's for and how casual fan, it may not be aimed at them, but there's just, I think I was listening to a podcast recently that Will Freddie, I forget, but who played Batman Beyond, he does this podcast with the actress who played Kim Possible, and he was talking about how he was talking to Bruce Timm about Batman, and you know, and how Bruce Timm said that there's a Batman for everyone. Like when the movies go like super dark, they make sure that in the cartoons that he's light, because like not everyone's gonna like the really dark and, you know, brooding Batman, and not everyone's gonna like a really fun and happy, you know, poppy Batman in the cartoons or anything. But they always want to make sure that there's something for everyone. And so like I feel like with this film, like it's not gonna appeal to like everyone, but I don't think it has to. Like it's just another version out there for someone to kind of like see, maybe I'm into this, maybe not. But like there's like dozens of other like Batman properties that you can like dive into. There's the comics, there's the cartoons, and there's like a backlog of X amount of films. So like just in terms of like, you know, the levels of like, you know, fandom on Batman, like just that it's a wide selection, you know, just one that I was thinking about before.
Yeah, everyone's got a little something. All right, so as we wrap this up, where are we ranking this movie out of all the Batman movies?
Ooh, yes.
7 still?
No, okay, so not ranking like on a 1 to 10 scale, but like, although it's nice to know that number. But like, of all the Batman live action films that we've gotten, like, is this top 3 for you? Is this like, where does it fall in the rankings?
We're gonna kick out the Schumacher. I'm gonna kick out Schumacher and put this right after Nolan. So top 3.
Top 3 for you.
Okay.
Keaton, Nolan, and this one. If we got the Ben Affleck one, I would love to see that. I mean, he filmed half of the movie. We just would never ever see that movie ever.
What about you?
And that was supposed to be an arc movie.
Okay.
This is probably my number 2. I think Dark Knight. I think Dark Knight is 1, and this is 2. Again, like the character development and the coming of age for Batman and the grief, and it's really all of that speaks volumes to me in this movie. I thought they did it really well, and I like the mystery aspect, the detective aspect of it, even though I couldn't guess any of the riddles quick enough. I really enjoyed like that aspect of the movie. So this is definitely, I think, number 2 for me.
Al, what about you?
I might be I don't know if I'm gonna regret this, and this is like recorded for posterity, but this might be my number 1. I might put this ahead of The Dark Knight. I love The Dark Knight. But this, again, like seeing a character journey and seeing a character have to realize he has to be more. Like Bruce says, I mean, Bale says it, like, I have to be more, you know, like when he decides to become Batman. But we've never seen a Batman before have to be like, maybe I'm doing this wrong. Maybe there's a better way to do this. And like, yeah, like that's something I think we can all relate to. Just like, you go about it on a path and it's like, maybe there's a better way, a more refined way. And I've just never seen a Batman like this. So yeah, this is 1, Bale, The Dark Knight is 2, and I got to put Batman Returns as number 3, I think, but that'd be my ranking.
Nessa?
Okay. I've got Dark Knight, Batman Returns. Then I have a dilemma. I've become very fond of Batman Begins, but I really do like the Batman. So for me, they are battling for that 3rd spot.
Ooh.
And it's like the battle of the origin films, I feel like, in a sense. And like, I think I'm going to have to see the film again to really solidify like who's number 3. But I think the Batman's got a slight edge on Batman Begins. Oh. So I think for now, I'm going to see the Batman's number 3, Batman Begins will be under that. So it's a tough one for me. But now that go back and watch that Batman Begins, it got a bad rap. It got a bad rap.
We actually see Batman Begins in the Batman.
Fair.
That is fair.
That is fair.
I don't think any of us put Alcott, you put the Batman as possibly number 1. So maybe this is a question specifically for you, and everybody else can chime in too. Where do you think this movie ranks among all superhero movies? Like if you're looking at the general, like the style or just anything about it, do you think it stands out among other types of superhero movies we've seen?
I think so, yes. Especially in terms of like what you mentioned before about what people go to a superhero movie looking for. You know, they expect like this amount of action, this amount of, you know, it's almost like a formula. And we got that in so many of these superhero films. Where like there's a sky beam, there's a portal, there's always some crazy huge 3rd act thing that they all have baked into the story. And like this is a film that actually decided to be like I think we said earlier before, like it's Seven but with Batman, you know what I mean? Like they took a story, they took a pre-existing, they just made it something else. And I think that is so refreshing for a superhero movie. I think that will make this stand out among the DC landscape, even among like the Marvel films. Like this is a great character piece that's just different from anything else. And cut to especially mentioned in that score, like that's an iconic score. I think we're gonna remember like for years to come. Like I think this is like truly defining stuff for Batman.
I like it. Any other thoughts about how the Batman measures up to just superhero movies in general?
I think it's top tier. I think it's gonna be top tier. I think in the way. So I don't know if this movie in particular is going to do it, but I think in the way that people felt like Dark Knight changed the way we looked at superhero films, I think if they can pull it off, this series, this trilogy might do that as well. Because it was Dark Knight that got nominated for, you know, an Oscar. You know what I'm saying? And like won Oscar. So like, and I don't think any, if many, superhero films have actually done that. So I think we could be on that route of being that much of a game changer.
Cool.
It was all part of the plan.
All right, so final thoughts about the Batman. Where do we think we're going from here? We know we have the 2 spinoffs for HBO Max. We know that there are 2 other movies. Is there any like storyline or anything that you feel like you definitely want to see come out of the Batman moving forward?
Court of Owls, the Court of Owls.
Court of Owls.
Well, you also mentioned that you didn't think it was the Joker at the end, that you thought it was Creeper.
Oh, right.
The Creeper.
Can you quickly like describe the Creeper for those who don't know? Because I don't know.
The Creeper was the newscaster that was interviewing, is always outside interviewing, what are going on in Gotham, and Joker got a hold on him and gave him one of his gases, and it actually, he was trying to recreate. This was in the animated series and also in the book. He tried to recreate himself, but it turned out different. And the Creeper was a bad guy for a while, and then he became good, but he's messed up in the head and laughs just like him.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. So it's basically a product of the Joker, but not the Joker. But he is kind of messed up, and he uses these injections to keep it at bay. So if he doesn't have these injections, the Creeper comes out. So it's kind of, he's basically Freakazoid.
Freakazoid.
Freakazoid. Freak to me.
You know what? I like that.
Yeah, I like that too.
Might be onto something.
I like it.
If it is, I mean, if they went a whole route and put him, I would be like, that's a good fluff. I like that fluff.
No, it's clever because I think the Batman audience is jokered out, especially after getting the Joker with
then Jerome,
Joaquin Phoenix.
With Joaquin Phoenix. Like that, like once you do that, to throw that character back into a Batman movie just feels like it's too soon. I need more breathing time between all the iterations we've had. So I like that steal. I like that a lot as an option.
We have more characters. He even has a character that could control people's minds, and another one that does something with his bones. Like, I know you could go far-fetched with that, but you have so much in his gallery. Like, you don't even need poison ivy. You could use poison ivy for a substitute, a lower character in the script, but still build her up as you go along. You could do so much. I just don't want to see a Joker. I don't.
Yeah.
All Joker.
I'm with you. I like how you when you were talking before about like your interpretation for Mr. Freeze. Like I really like that. And there was a take I was kind of mulling over before, and it's like Clayface. I think this film could do. And as far as like sequels and stuff, like I think we can see kind of a grounded take on Clayface that's not exactly as extravagant as like a giant clay monster who's shape shifting and stuff. But like I was thinking, even if you take like maybe like an actor or like a special effects guy who works on films, who works with prosthetics, and like he, maybe he starts using a lot of chemicals like on his face to kind of like wear disguises and things, and maybe has a reaction to it. Maybe it starts affecting his skin, and he has to like upkeep it where it's like drooping on one side or something. You know what I mean? Like, but like I feel like we can just play with this rogue gallery. Like we don't need to see Joker for the billionth time.
And
like,
he has Black Mask.
Crazy guys.
Black Mask is another one. But there is a character that was before the Clayface that we have now, that he actually just wore like a mask of clay. It's like one of them old characters that they made, and then they killed him off and say, you know what, let's make this into a new character and do him over again, like the Flash. There is a character like that. Like Black Mask was a regular dude that wore a mask, and now he's a mob boss. But you have more, but your way of saying it, I would actually watch that and see how he goes off when people like, people call me ugly, I can't stand it, and they're teasing me. And then we got why depression is actually now in the real world. Like
I can't.
Like that will be something to mental health will be a whole thing. But the Calendar Man, I would like him to be the next villain, because the way he talks in every book, it's like it's you. If they ever Kevin Spacey can't act no more. He's on sexual harassment charges. Who could they have to find an actor who just available to play, because he's a person that just sits there and he just knows times, dates, where Clock King, another one. You could do a guy who's always on time with doing his devices and always on schedule with murder. You got a whole bunch of people who is.
I would say, in terms of like looking forward to the sequels and stuff, they got to pick a Lucius Fox. Who are they gonna cast?
Yeah.
I'm waiting to see who they're gonna cast as Lucius Fox.
Give me Samuel Jackson.
No.
Wow.
No. You know who could play him? You know who could play him? And I could actually see it?
Who?
The new guy in Fresh Prince. The dark-skinned brother in the Bel Air episode who plays the butler.
Okay, so I haven't seen the show, but I did see a picture of the new Jeffrey.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know what?
I looked at him. I'm
gonna throw this out there. Idris. I think Idris has a Lucius.
No. That's.
I think Idris has
a. You put your shoulders up for you.
Listen, Robert wasn't built enough for me in this movie. Like, I was hoping that he'd be a little bit buffer, a little bit more built. I'm like, you fighting these dudes in Gotham, like, you gotta be his. Do you lift, bro? Because it don't look like it.
You're gonna be wanting Lucius to suit up then. You start seeing Idris like,
that's true.
Matter of fact, let me just model this stuff for you. You know, I think I wear it better. I think I wear this outfit better.
That's true. I know y'all laughed when I said Samuel Jackson. I was being kind of serious because I think my interpretation of Lucius is that like he might be slightly more willing to call Batman out on some of his BS when it comes to like what he's doing and like how he's doing it. And I just want like Samuel, I want Samuel to keep working. Like I just love watching him on screen. But it would be great to have like his level of like humor / questioning with a Batman that's just like still trying to grow out of grief and stuff like that. Like I could see Samuel be like, why are you still on that? We got things to do. Let's just like, let's like, here's some gadgets. Like, is that what you want? Are you sure you want that? Like, that energy said
he'd be the one to tell him to not wear the cape.
Yes, he'd be the one to be like, why are you wearing a cape? Right, exactly. So wishful thinking. I don't think it'll happen, but I would be.
Yes, that would. We all have wishful thinking, but we hope these people in the suits that's always protecting rights of the names and stuff would release these people. Like they need their, what's his name again? From Marvel, they need their Josh Whedon. They don't have a Josh Whedon. They had their Josh Whedon. Yeah, they had their Kevin Feige, but they lost it. Yeah, they lost it.
Yeah,
they lost it. So they need, because there is a bunch of characters they could use. I mean, look at Moon Knight. Moon Knight is. Actually, he's not really Marvel's Batman, but he is a product because they actually have a guy, Darkwing or something like that for the Squadron Supreme, their version of Batman. But look at Moon Knight, low-level character. Now he's looking great. You could do so much with.
That's what they did with Iron Man to shoot it off. That's what Marvel's good at, right? Like,
come on, yeah. Like they'd be like, you know what? Let's beef this character up a bit. Hey, look, Condiment King. Everybody wants to see Condiment King. Condiment King.
If they bring Condiment King, yo, I would lose it. That would be so funny.
I want to see that.
That would need a lot of reworking for me to like process that to buy into that. Because the only access I have to Condiment King is from the Harley Quinn animated series. And like it was just so ridiculous, like just to see him and Kite Man like battling of words and stuff, and they're fighting over like wedding venues, and I'm just like, bro, I was like, no, this is not it.
You know what's interesting though? We're like DC Warner Brothers, like they are kind of listening in the sense that like their other properties, they're not afraid to kind of like explore the rogues gallery and the deep bench. They'll put a Condiment King in there. They'll put a Black Mask in the Harley Quinn movie. And Zaz they did in the Harley Quinn the Harley Quinn movie. But like it's also it's like one step forward, one step back, because they also will rely on like what worked last time. You know what I mean? Like we're getting Joker, Riddler again because it worked before, Catwoman because it worked before. Like they don't take a lot of risks with they're big franchise players, but in the smaller circles they'll like explore a bit. And I wish they would just merge that a little bit more.
For one, I did not like Black Mask in the Harley Quinn. I like him with his mask on, not little. No, I didn't like all of that. I didn't like that.
That was a fun kind of killer that worked for me. Like I liked, that was playful, and I'd buy that. Like I was like, okay, yeah.
I like my Sionis a little bit serious, and he wants to bust people's heads open, like with the white suit on, with the black mask, or you know, whichever one, because there's one with him with the man, and one is glued on completely permanently on his face, or the one where he actually took the wood from his father's coffin and made the mask on. You see how much psychological crap people go through in Gotham? Like, who takes the wood from the coffin of your father and makes a mask out of it and go terrorize the city? Does that make any sense now? No, it doesn't.
Some more therapists.
Therapists. Not enough therapists in this world in Gotham.
I mean, look what happens to the therapists when you have them. Look at Harley. Like,
fair.
Anyways.
All right, guys. I think
about that episode. Look what's going on about the episode. Well, yeah, next time.
Next time. All right, guys. So we'll wrap this up. We deeply, deeply appreciate having you guys on. It's always fun being our experts in our casual world. And we appreciate you guys coming on. So we will be signing off. I am Nessa.
And I'm T.
And we are the Casual Fangirls. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, check out our YouTube. We're on Instagram at Casual Fangirls _
Click the link.
Steele and Al, thank you guys once again. And we will be seeing you guys next time.